sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzall Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzall Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockoven.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans. And when we're in Italy, we do as Italyans. So Italyans, they eat pizza after the game.
Tom and Bock starts now.
I feel like we already started. We kind of did. We were in here, and then we stayed here in the studio. It's Tom and Bock. We were just with Happer and Schaefer. That was fun. And now we start our own show, Tom and Bock. How are you, Bock? How are things going? Is your mic not on? You got to turn your mic on just for that. Yeah, not the. Oh, that's right. I've done that before. I've done that before as well. You switch mics, which it's going to happen. I guarantee you when we do the crossover or the handoff, you change mics around and then you forget to change them back.
Yeah, I'm having all sorts of problems over here. But that's all right.
The great thing is we're on camera, so you can see our screw ups actually live. You can hear the screw ups, and then you can see them if you're on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. You could see all of those things, or you could just dial us up and talk to us on the Honda of Lincoln hotline 464-5685 or the Sartor Heyman text line. I'm fascinated with the Big Ten ACC Challenge. I watched a lot of it last night. Watched Indiana play Syracuse on the road. That thing went into double overtime. The final was Syracuse 112, Indiana 110.
And the brothers Boeheim leading the way.
That's right.
That's kind of a fun story.
I'm going, are they his grandsons? No, they're his sons.
Yeah.
They're Jim Boeheim's sons. You've got Buddy and Jimmy. Buddy had 27. Jimmy had 26. So they were really good last night. I'm thinking, how old was he? Not that it matters, but I was just doing the math. Yeah. He must have been 55 when he had his two sons.
And has he, sometimes you say people haven't aged in years, and it's meant to be a complimentary. He hasn't aged in years, but that's not very complimentary. No, he's always looked old.
He's always looked old. He looked that way when he was 40, and now he's 77 years old. Whereas Mike Krzyzewski's always looked pretty young. Mike Krzyzewski is starting to age, but he's like 800 years old. But he still looks really good. He really looks good. Somebody accused him of having fake hair years ago. I don't think it is fake
or
hair. Or
dyeing his hair, I think.
You know who does have fake hair is Bill Self. That thing is a wig. I guarantee you that thing's a wig. But the Big Ten ACC Challenge last night. So you had that game, Syracuse winning. But the big thing of the night, the big story of the night was Ohio State taking down number one Duke. Zed Key, 20 points. Number one Duke just turned number one. They just were voted number one in the AP poll after beating Gonzaga in Vegas last week. But they fell immediately, 71-66 in the Big Ten ACC Challenge at Ohio State. They had a 13-point lead at half. They had a lead for most of that game, but they didn't score for the final 4.5 minutes of that game. So big win for Ohio State, who was 4-2 coming into that game. It wasn't like they were lighting up the college basketball world. They weren't even ranked. So you had Syracuse over Indiana. You had Minnesota beating Pittsburgh 54-53. You had Purdue over Florida State 92-65. And Rutgers over Clemson 74-64. And then Wake Forest beat Northwestern 77-73. Of course, Nebraska plays North Carolina State tonight. How you feeling about that game?
I feel okay about it. It's hard to really get a read. North Carolina State hasn't been challenged too much, but they've taken care of business. Nebraska hasn't been challenged too much, but they didn't completely take care of business. It's fun that Thomas Allen is going to be there. Of course, part of Tim Miles, one of his final recruiting classes, played 1 year here at Nebraska, or started 1 year at Nebraska and decided to transfer. And it feels like his career has been going forever. Unfortunately, he doesn't play too much for the Wolfpack anymore, so we won't get to see too much of him, but it'll be a good matchup. And they got a guy that leads them in like points, rebounds, assists, like everything. So it's going to be fun, and he's kind of a similar build to Bryce McGowan. So to see those guys match up tonight, I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah, North Carolina State is 5-1 coming into this game, but it's not like they played anybody. Let's see. They've got. Let's see. Before this, let's see if I can find it. But anyway, they're 5-1. They haven't played anybody of significance. You have it. You have it right there, Bock.
I can pull it up.
Pull it up. They do have a guy that averages 18 points a game. It feels like a team that is going to be difficult to beat because I think everybody is going to be difficult for Nebraska to beat from here on out. After this game, you've got Indiana, and if you watch Trace Jackson Davis last night, you know that guy's a monster. Indiana lost their first game, and they lost it in double overtime, but they were 6-1 going to Syracuse last night. So what's your scout? I mean, this is a team that I don't think you really know much about because they haven't had a lot of impressive games yet.
Yeah, I mean, they've only beaten like Colgate and Louisiana Tech, Bucknell. That's your typical opening for a conference team. But they've got some weapons. Like I said, Darian Searon is the one that leads them in points with almost 19 points per game, almost 10 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game. Also leads them in steals with about 3 of those as well. So he's a big time player. Also, Jericho Helms is coming off a heck of a game. He just had 31 points and 6 3-pointers against Louisiana Tech. So they got some weapons. I think I think they're favored in this game. I think you would say that, and I don't know if I haven't looked at it officially, but I would think that they would be. So it's I don't know if I'm expecting a win necessarily, but at least to play well. And you know, it's your first true road game for, you know, we keep calling this team young. I don't know if they're young, but they have young pieces and they haven't played together for very long. So that's what I'm saying there. So it looks like the line's 6.5 for the Wolfpack, about 80% as far as a matchup predictor on ESPN. So the Wolfpack are expected to win. If Nebraska can get one here, it can help the Big Ten, which is off to a good start in this ACC challenge. But obviously, more importantly for Nebraska, somewhat make up for that Western Illinois loss. You're still looking to do that to get one that you're not supposed to get, basically.
Thomas Allen is on that roster. Used to play for Tim Miles at Nebraska. Only plays about 10 minutes a game. Is averaging like just over 2.5 points a game. So I thought, you know, that was a pretty good get coming out of high school. I think he had a Kansas offer. Could really shoot when he got hot. He could really shoot it. I guess it's the Ray Gallegos thing. It always looked like it was going in. It didn't always go in, but it always looked like it might go in.
He averaged his career high 8.7. He's played 2 years here. His second year, it was the sophomore year he started. An average 8.7 points per game. That was Tim Miles' final year, and shot 36% from beyond the arc. He's struggling a little bit this year, just 2.5 points per game, only shooting 28% beyond the arc, but he doesn't get nearly as many minutes. He plays about 15 a game, but he's only played in 4 of their games so far. So we'll see kind of his availability if he's there tonight.
We'll break it down with Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star here in about 10 minutes or so, talking a little Husker basketball and football with us as we wait on some coaching hires. It does feel like the Mickey Joseph thing does have traction, right? Is that what you're feeling? Like, Mickey Joseph is expected to be announced, I think, within the next couple of days as the wide receiver / maybe recruiting coordinator type of guy. He's a big time recruiter. He's done a good job. It's not an easy gig to get at LSU. And the roster was not always the problem at LSU. And he put together a lot of that roster, at least helped recruit a lot of that roster. I think if it happens, it's a good get. It's a little weird for me in that it means that he's probably your wide receivers coach, which you didn't necessarily expect to hire, right? That was Matt Lubick. Because Matt Lubick was your offensive coordinator and wide receiver coach. So somebody's going to have to, if they don't make any changes on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be a little odd because we're hearing that Ron Brown might be your running backs coach. Okay, so you've got a wide receiver coach. You've got a running backs coach. You need an offensive coordinator. You need an O-line coach. Does that mean the offensive coordinator is also the offensive line coach? Is that how they're going to do it? If you hire a special teams coordinator, and just what Schaefer was saying, not necessarily are they going to hire a special teams coordinator. I mean, if that happens, I'm seriously going to blow a gasket.
Yeah, they're going to have somebody pull double duty. And it seemed like for a long time, if you're going to do that, maybe you have Frost coach the quarterbacks. I mean, that's always still been an idea that could be thrown out there. Or, you split up the linebackers, maybe just have one linebacker coach and figure out what to do from there. So, I mean, we'll see. I think there's some more jumbling on the staff. And like Schaefer said, there's also a possibility guys kind of seeing the writing on the wall or, in a nervous year here as far as their job stability might be looking elsewhere because some of those guys on the defensive side could be highly sought after for people trying to build their new staff. So it's a long off season. A lot of things can happen. And I expect to see a pretty different staff coming into next year, which is, I suppose, the goal, which was the idea and the hope for this Scott Frost, this last chance for Scott Frost. And I don't know if the belief is there to work. I keep saying it. I think it's an uphill battle to get all these guys, all the coaches together.
It feels
all
like
these new players are going to throw together.
This doesn't feel like it has a great chance to work.
Yeah.
That's why it's fascinating. And the text line 464-5685, Micah says, Billy C, that would handle your offensive coordinator and offensive line coach. One of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. All you need is about $5 million to get him away from the Cleveland Browns. And Billy C, I guarantee you, when he was fired by Tom Osborne in 2005, 2006, when he was fired by Tom Osborne, he left his office, was in the garage to get his car, pulled out of the garage, and they tried to interview him. Of course, he didn't roll down the window. I don't believe he did. I bet he was out of his house and out of Lincoln and out of the state of Nebraska within 24 hours.
And has never been back.
And he has not stepped foot in this state. I mean, even if he had to play a football game, which he wouldn't in the NFL, he wouldn't have been back here.
Yeah.
There's no way that guy was all about business. I don't think he ever enjoyed a living in Nebraska. I don't think he enjoys life anyway, but I don't think he enjoyed. I don't think he enjoyed Nebraska.
He seems the older he gets, maybe the less uptight he is. So
he's a great coach.
Maybe, yeah,
he would be a great offensive line coach.
Oh yeah, but Nebraska would not be his first pick, regardless of even any history with Nebraska. If a college was to come calling for Bill Callahan on the offensive line, I think it'd be a bigger name college as far as playoff type of contenders and stuff like that.
Other things to talk about. I want to get to the balloon conversation a little bit later on. Trev Alberts on his radio show had some interesting things to say. One of them was about, and I want to have a longer conversation with you about this, Bock, because you're a uniform guy. You love uniforms.
Yeah.
You like the alternate uniforms. That's what the kids today, they want. And sometimes you recruit to that, right? If you're a basketball coach, you're a football coach. It's what Oregon has done for years with Nike. They have 17 different jerseys. That's awesome. Trev Alberts is not among the people who thinks it's awesome. He doesn't like it at all. In fact, a caller asked about the gray unis that Nebraska wore. I believe it was against Tennessee State last week. He said, this is an area where I think we need to do a better job, and something that I'm really passionate about. I think the brand management is really important. That red in, a lot of people worked really long and hard to build that brand. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, talking about he doesn't want 9 different logos. He doesn't want 100 different uniforms. He wants Nebraska to look like Nebraska every time they step on the court or football field or whatever sport they're playing in.
Yeah, and I understand that. I kind of even like it, but I almost want to cut down and say, well, maybe not all the athletic departments, but Nebraska basketball, because there's this. I mean, they have kind of their own logos that remind you historically of Nebraska basketball. They put them on the jerseys. It's cool. Even the gray thing. I can understand that. Maybe if you want to keep the amount of colors down, it's going to be white, red. They have their black uniforms. Yeah. Don't take away the black uniforms. People like those. Yeah. But once you start to stray away from, those colors, how far can you go? But at the same time, it's just having fun, and it's particularly for basketball, maybe more than any other sport. Alternate uniform, just because there's so many games, alternate uniforms are kind of cool, kind of fun, fresh, something to get you a little more excited, just to see something different as you go throughout the season. So I hope that they at least would consider, and I understand the branding thing. Remember when they had they took away obviously the script Huskers after the 90s, people got mad. They did the block N. Okay, the block N's fine. And then they went, and a couple years ago, they tried that other N with just like Huskers across it, but it was like a block. Remember that? Yeah. And it lasted like 2 or 3 years. Everybody's like, that we're not winning. That doesn't look like Nebraska's logo. So they went back to the block. And I think that that's working fine for them. And I like it. And I understand wanting to bring unity there, but I don't know, like baseball, basketball, football, it's been a long discuss. I think people, whoever, originally in like 2012, when they went to alternate uniforms, some people would be upset, but after a while, it's kind of expected to do one a year. I don't see too much of a problem with it, and I think it gets people excited. So Trev Alberts has finally done something I disagree with as an athletic director.
There you go. You disagree. I agree. It frustrates me when I turn on a football game and I don't know who's playing because they've changed to their 15th different alternate uniform, which isn't even among their school colors.
Yeah.
Like you have colors that don't even really exist in the color scheme, and they're trying to.
That's why I didn't like Utah football. They did like an ode to the
gray thing.
Yeah, they did all gray, and it was like a Navy ship, and that's cool and everything. But that doesn't look like Utah football at all.
Yeah, I see. If you can keep it within the color scheme, I'm okay, and I'm not the biggest guy. I'm no one to ask about alternate uniforms or uniforms in general because my sports fashion is just terrible. But I think he has a point, and we'll broach it a little bit later on, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, and maybe even bring it up with Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star. We'll talk about the college football playoff a little bit later on. Box tops, what's the topic today?
Well, you're playing North Carolina State, so I dug into their alumni and figured out a top 10 alumni list again.
I like it. North Carolina State alumni today on Box Tops. Also, David Eichholt. How do you pronounce it? I'm sorry.
Eichholt, yeah.
Eichholt. With 24/7 Sports, he talks Iowa football with us a little bit later on in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll maybe do some Ask Bock. But in the meantime, Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star is next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonzal Pool & Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzal Pool & Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzal Pool & Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
Go ahead, let it sleet, let it slush, and let it snow, because the pros at T.O. Haas Tire are ready to help you with a new set of tires guaranteed to get you through it all, like the complete line of Michelin tires, including the X-Ice Snow Tire. And right now, you can get $70 back when you buy any 4 new Michelin tires at the T.O. Haas Tire near you.
T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. State football wrapped up at Memorial Stadium on Tuesday. In Class A, it was a defensive battle as Gretna won the game over Omaha Westside with the Ticket's Connor Happer on the call. It was a 1-yard QB sneak from quarterback Zane Flores that led to the only touchdown in a win for Gretna over Omaha Westside 7-3. This would be Gretna's first state football title. In Class B, Bennington won over Aurora 42-14. In Class C1, Columbus Lakeview edged out Pierce 37-25. This would also be the first state football title for Columbus Lakeview. In Class C2, Archbishop Bergen won its first title in 42 years over Norfolk Catholic, 49-20. In Class D1, Howells Dodge coasted to a win over Cross County, 42-12. In Class D2, Kensaw beat Sandhills, 46-40. In recruiting, Gabe Hendricks from Elkhorn South has committed to Notre Dame to compete in cross country and track. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Breakfast time, brisket time, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant, and you can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brew. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. That's Jake Bachhoven. Big Ten news.
Yeah, big time news for Nebraska's outgoing tight end, Austin Allen. He was named first team All Big Ten by the media. And I have to go back. By the coaches, by the way, at tight end selected Wisconsin's Jake Ferguson. It was a good tight end group this year, so it wasn't going to be easy. But Austin Allen did get the nod. And I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while since Nebraska's had a first teamer, especially in offense.
Yeah, it has. Are we talking a Rex or a Mir, that type of thing?
Probably.
Kenny Bell, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you remember the last first teamer for Nebraska, all Big Ten, outside our kicker?
I thought it was you, Tom. Weren't you a first team All Big Ten guy a couple years ago?
You come to think of it, you're right. My memory is not what it used to be. Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star, but that's a big honor for Austin Allen. What do you see him? What round do you see him being drafted in for the NFL?
Yeah, I think it kind of confirms what we already knew, and it's that dude's pretty good. And just kind of hearing, I remember a few weeks ago, we rode the elevator in Memorial Stadium up to the press box with one of the NFL scouts. I forget which team it was, maybe the Panthers or something like that. Yeah. And he was just raving about Nebraska's tight ends, Austin Allen and Travis Vokolek both, and really, really high on him, which tells you that he's probably got a pretty bright future. What round does that mean? I don't know. But, it would seem, he's probably a top 3, top 4 round guy, just judging from what we've heard and obviously judging from what we saw today.
What's your timeline for new coaches? I know it's something that the kids ask in the back of the station wagon on the long trip. Are we there yet? But it's what I'm always asked about, and I'm sure you as well, Chris. What's the time frame in your mind?
Well, I think the sooner the better, and there's a couple of different factors at play. And we heard Trev Alberts on the radio last night say it's about fit, which is the most important thing. Those guys have to fit the culture and fit what Scott Frost wants, and that trumps making the hire quickly. But there's also an element of needing to get this done too, because there's an early signing period coming up pretty soon, and you've got to get on the road and recruit and close the deal on some guys and give guys an idea of what they're coming into at Nebraska, depending on who the OC is and who the offensive line coach is or receivers coach or whoever it may be. So yeah, you've got to make sure you have the right fit. There's no doubt about it. And that's it is the most important piece of it, but not too far behind that is getting this done quickly. So does that mean by the end of this week? Maybe. I don't know. You have to think a lot of the groundwork's been laid already, so we'll see. But I would not expect it to take too much longer.
Chris Bassett of the Lincoln Journal-Star, our guest. This is a question that I'm sometimes asked. What great offensive coordinator in his right mind would take this job knowing it might be only 1 year? How do you answer that?
Well, you can see the pieces. You can see what Nebraska did on offense this year with the pieces they had. And I think any coach at that level or at the division level or at any college level is hyper competitive, thinks he's the best, and thinks, you know what, I'm the guy that can take that over the top. They weren't, I'm going to sound like Scott Frost. They weren't too far off last year. They were close, right? Like they could pile up yards with anybody and they could move the ball with anybody. They just couldn't finish drives off. And you ask any offensive coordinator out there and he'll tell you, well, yeah, I've got the secret sauce to finish that off. I can do that. So I think more than anything, it's the competitive nature of I can be the guy to take this over the top. The pretty big paycheck that person's going to get probably isn't going to hurt either. There's that part of it too. You might go into it thinking or knowing it's maybe only a 1 year deal or maybe 2 years or whatever it may be, but in those 1 or 2 years, you're going to make a lot of money. And that speaks pretty loudly too. So there's a couple different things in play for it, but the fact that it's a 1 year or 2 year job, that might turn some people off, but I don't think it'll turn everybody off.
Chris, Mike Schaefer told us that maybe Ron Brown is in the running back, coach conversation. And we think that maybe Mickey Joseph at wide receiver coach is a possibility and maybe even a good possibility for Nebraska. If those two things happen, you're still going to need an offensive line coach. You're still going to need an offensive coordinator. And I think you need a special teams coordinator. That it doesn't feel like that's 5 coaches. They're only hiring 4. The numbers don't work out.
Yeah. And again, we'll have to see how it all plays out. But yeah, that's part of the puzzle you have to put together too, right? And that's where it comes back to fit and how those pieces fit together, and trying to do it with an element of speed to it as well. It's a hard puzzle to fit. And are you going to hire, for example, a Mickey Joseph and a Ron Brown before you hire the offensive coordinator? What if the offensive coordinator wants to bring his own guys in? Or has Nebraska already targeted an offensive coordinator and that guy's signed off on those 2 guys? We don't know that yet. We don't really know a whole lot of anything about that right now. So yeah, I'm with you, Tom. I think they need a special teams coordinator. I think at the end of the day, probably deep down, Scott Frost probably knows that too. He sees the numbers the same as we do and sees the games Nebraska's lost because of special teams. And you've got to get that fixed. So maybe he goes that direction. I think he should. I think a lot of us think he should. That doesn't mean he will. But yeah, there's some math that needs to be figured out there and figured out pretty quick.
There were no defensive staff changes, 4 on the offensive side. Do you expect that to stay the same, or will there be changes with the defensive staff?
I don't think so right now. Again, you never say never. Look at what's happened just the last week in college football with coaches moving around. So you never say never, but I think they have a pretty good thing going on that side of the ball. Now, if somebody comes along and offers one of those guys a truckload of money to move on to whether it's the SEC or the ACC, Big 12, whatever it may be, then yeah, that changes the calculus on it a little bit. But right now, Nebraska got a pretty good defense, a surprisingly good defense. I think they have a really good culture on that side of the ball. So again, you never say never, but for right now, I think that side of the ball seems pretty stable.
Nebraska versus North Carolina State in basketball tonight, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. I think the Big Ten went 4-2 last night. What are we looking at with North Carolina State tonight?
Really interesting team. I think they're a little bit like Nebraska. They've played one power conference team. They lost to Oklahoma State. Nebraska lost to Creighton. They've been pushed pretty hard by some lower major, mid-major teams. Cornell, I think, played them to 3 points. Louisiana Tech, who's got a good squad, played them within 10 the other night. They want to play up tempo. They want to run. It's a good match of styles, I think, of similar styles, and I think of similar teams. North Carolina State lost their all-conference big man first game of the year, went down with a knee injury, a guy that led the ACC in block shots last year. So you'd have to think that works in Nebraska's favor. So yeah, it's as interesting a matchup as Nebraska's had in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, I think, because I think it's going to tell us how far they've come, since that Creighton game, certainly. And it's going to give us an idea of how they stack up, over these next couple of weeks, playing 5 power conference opponents in a row. So a really good matchup for Nebraska and a really intriguing one.
Well, the next 3 games at North Carolina State tonight, 6:15. That's an ESPNU broadcast. Then at Indiana, who looked really good on the road against Syracuse in a loss last night. And then you've got Michigan, previously the number 4 ranked team in the country. They've dropped out of the top 20, just I think like 22 or 23. So you're going to learn a ton about Nebraska basketball within the next week.
Yeah, you absolutely are. And I think that's the way the schedule was set up the way it did. Obviously, Nebraska didn't schedule Western Illinois expecting to be 0-1 after that game, but that's how it happened. I think most folks probably thought 6-1 worse, and they're 5-2. So it is what it is. And they've kind of gradually built into this and built some confidence now with a 4-game winning streak. Now let's go play the big boys and see how we react. Because look, that's all you're going to see starting January 1 is big name school after big name school when you get into Big Ten play. So get into it now, see what you got, see what you need to work on, see what you do these next 3 games, going to next week playing Kansas State. You get a little bit of a break there with Kennesaw State, but then, get some time off later in December to kind of work on the things that you're going to find out about yourself. And as much as anything, that's why you play some of these games. Nebraska's going to learn more about itself tonight against Indiana, against Michigan. Then it's going to learn, playing Tennessee State or Sam Houston State or whoever it may be. So it's a good spot in the schedule for these games to happen. I think Nebraska's going to come out of it learning a lot about itself.
Alonzo Verge set big portions of that South Dakota State game. And we wonder, where his frame of mind is right now. They want him to be a point guard. He'll get another shot again tonight. He'll be the starter, right?
Oh yeah. I don't think the starting lineup changes. They really like what they have in Alonzo Verge, and look, it's going to be a process. The guy's never played point guard before this year. Now you're seven games into the season, and you're basically almost a fourth of the way through the season already. So something's got to click pretty soon. But he gives them a dimension that they don't otherwise have at that position, and he gives them a guy that's played against high major competition the last couple of years at Arizona State. So yeah, they're going to keep running him out there and keep trying to make it work. And if it clicks, then I think Nebraska's got a chance to be pretty good. But I think you also feel all right if you're Nebraska, knowing what you've got outside of him. Guys like Kobe Webster, moving Bryce McGowan's into more of a playmaker role. They can make it work if the Alonzo Verge experiment doesn't work out. But for right now, yeah, you've got to keep putting him out there and keep getting him minutes and keep getting him into that role as a distributor and see if you can figure it out.
I said South Dakota in that win over the weekend. The Big Ten ACC Challenge. Wow. Ohio State, who came into that game at 4-2 with a big win. They shut down a really good Duke team the last 4.5 minutes. They didn't score, and Ohio State comes back down 13.5 to win that game. What'd you learn just watching all these Big Ten ACC games last night?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think back to the Gavitt games and the Big Ten's pretty poor performance in that. And you look at last night, like you mentioned, Ohio State shutting Duke down the last 4 minutes. Purdue looked like $1 million in their game against Florida State. They beat Florida State by 30, and nobody does that. Purdue just looks unbelievable right now. Northwestern lost, but lost a close game, and Minnesota went on the road and won. It's Rutgers won. The high level talent might not be there, maybe outside of Purdue as far as high level talented teams, but the depth of the Big Ten, I think, showed off last night. It's going to be a grind again every single night. And you saw it last night. It doesn't matter if it's Minnesota or if it's Purdue or Ohio State. Every team in this conference can go beat somebody else on any given night. So yeah, I think more than anything, it just confirmed what we already knew, and that's the Big Ten is just tough top to bottom.
It'll be interesting on the road, their first road experience. What are you expecting from Nebraska tonight?
Yeah, first road experience, first time playing on the road in front of a crowd since 2019 too. That part of it will be interesting too. So I think they'll be a little jumpy, at the start. How can you not be? I think that's human nature, but it's all about a good start. If Nebraska gets off to a good start, settles the nerves, doesn't let North Carolina State get into that pressure and kind of swarm them and get the crowd behind them, they're going to have a shot. Look, they can beat North Carolina State. There's no doubt about it. That they've got to start well. They've got to do what they can on the boards. They can't turn the ball over. You do those 3 things, and you don't take yourself out of the game in the first 5 minutes, they're going to have a shot.
Yep. Good stuff, Chris. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for the time.
Yep. Appreciate the time.
Chris Bassnett of the Lincoln Journal-Star covers Husker football. He covers Husker basketball and baseball. He's a busy man. Think of how busy he's going to be like in February when baseball starts.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be running for his life It slows down. I guess he lost football, but then he gained basketball and baseball coming. I'm okay, Bock. Don't worry about me.
Right.
I can finish out this show.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Let's get to break and talk to Rico. We love Rico Suave. He'll do the blog jog. It's coming up next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
The workday is long, the bills are due, and sometimes you just need to relax. There's no better way to do that than in your brand new hot spring spa from Bonzal Pool and Spa. With hot tubs as low as $75 per month and interest-free financing, you're sure to find the perfect spa to fit your lifestyle. So get over to Bonzal Pool and Spa today and check out their selection of hot spring spas. Bonzal Pool and Spa, 33rd and Highway 2. Every day made better.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. You can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Ars. State football wrapped up at Memorial Stadium on Tuesday. In Class A, it was a defensive battle as Gretna won the game over Omaha Westside with the Ticket's Connor Happer on the call. It was a 1-yard QB sneak from quarterback Zane Flores that led to the only touchdown in a win for Gretna over Omaha Westside 7-3. This would be Gretna's first state football title. In Class B, Bennington won over Aurora 42-14. In Class C1, Columbus Lakeview edged out Pierce 37-25. This would also be the first state football title for Columbus Lakeview. In Class C2, Archbishop Bergen won its first title in 42 years over Norfolk Catholic, 49-20. In Class D1, Howells Dodge coasted to a win over Cross County, 42-12. In Class D2, Kensaw beat Sandhills, 46-40. In recruiting, Gabe Hendricks from Elkhorn South has committed to Notre Dame to compete in cross country and track. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College, with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Grab yourself a hot dog, pour a glass of eggnog, and settle in. This is the Blog Jog on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is time for Rico and the Blog Jog. I do want to mention this. We are teaming up with Beatrice Bakery to provide care packages to people who make Nebraska just a great place to live. So nominate somebody. Go to the top of theticketfm.com and nominate somebody. And then we'll pick the winner at the end of this show today and go deliver it to them. Our thing is nonprofits, but it could be just a friend who needs a pick-me-up.
Yeah.
Somebody who needs delicious cakes and desserts from Beatrice Bakery. They are amazing. Have you been through the brochure?
Oh, I've been through the brochure. We've tried a few of them. We love them.
It'd be a good thing to bring to like a gathering. They have premium liqueur cakes. They have breakfast breads. They have streusel coffee cakes. I like coffee cake a lot. Their chocolate cakes are amazing. I love the lemon drop cake that we eat all the time when we deliver. So go to the top of the webpage there, theticketfm.com, and nominate somebody. Hopefully a nonprofit, somebody that you know does good things all the time. And you'd like to say, I'd like to give you something.
Thank you. We'd like to spread some smiles across Lincoln.
Rico is here with the Blog Jog. Hi, Rico. How are you?
Oh, hey guys, how are you?
How you doing?
Yeah, sorry, I was just been standing here.
That's okay. I just wanted to read that.
Did you say hello with the mic off?
Hello.
I didn't. I saw the light was.
That'd be more fun.
Take two, Rico.
Hello.
There we go. I feel naked.
Have you guys seen all the Big Ten honorees and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Dude, Nebraska volleyball kicking butt.
And Austin Allen, that's a big accomplishment to be first team All Big Ten, at least as far as the last 5 years go.
Oh yeah. Lexi Rodriguez, freshman. She didn't get freshman of the year, but she got defensive player of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
28
You would think
digs.
that'd be the freshman of the year.
You would think so, but Wisconsin's outside hitter, Ojal, she got freshman of the year. She's really good.
She's won freshman of the week more times than any other freshman in the history of Nebraska volleyball already.
Mm-hmm. And she won defensive player of the week like 2 or 3 times. So yeah, defensive player of the year, 3 first team All Big Ten, which is impressive in itself. That those people would be here. I'm just gonna mention these real quick if I can get to it before all of this is done. Okay, first team All Big Ten. Nebraska had Lauren Stivrins, Maddie Kubik, Lexi Rodriguez. Nicklin Hames was second team. All freshmen, Lexi Rodriguez and Lindsey Krause.
Nice. The freshmen still have a ways to go. I love Rodriguez. I mean, I don't love her, right? But I love the way she plays. She's one of the best defensive young specialists I've seen since Wong Arantes, as I've said many times. Justine Wong Arantes reminds me a lot of her in the way she plays. She's going to be great for years to come. Batenhorst has a ways to go, and Krause has a ways to go, and they're kind of hit and miss right now.
They're learning.
But they're playing against all these super seniors this year. So it's, I think it's going to be a great growing experience. I don't expect Nebraska to win the championship, but you never know. They're in the best bracket by far. If they come out of that Austin Regional winners, that's going to be crazy.
Well, we at least expect the Elite Eight at Nebraska. That's the bottom expectations, I think.
I mean, they have the defending national champion, the defending runner-up, the Big 12 champion, the Pac-12 champion. They've got a decent amount of champion pedigree on their side.
A lot of excuses. All I hear. We're Nebraska.
I'm not putting.
This is a volleyball school.
I'm not giving you excuses. I'm just saying it's going to be that much more impressive when they're in the Final Four.
Okay, there might have been some cynicism there from Bock. Let's get to the Blog Jog. What do you got?
I've got some stuff and some things. First off, did you guys see there's some leaked audio from Brian Kelly's meeting with the NotreAme players?
Of course there is.
Really?
Yeah.
He
didn't have much to say.
Were there F-bombs or anything?
No, but it was a 4-minute meeting at 7 a.m.
What'd he say?
Really nothing. It's just, I was really proud to be here. This has nothing to do with you guys, and we've built something great. And, this was just an opportunity that I had to jump at. Sometimes there's time for change, and this was just something I had to do. It was nothing.
Yeah.
He
all the
said
kids
nothing.
are like, Brian, we already knew that. We were sleeping.
Right.
Yeah, like he said nothing. Me and DP were listening to him back there, and he's like, this is a sad day. And me and DP laugh. We're like, you're not sad.
But again,
what
do you say? There's not a good way to do
Go
that.
in there and say, you know what, guys, I'd love to stay, but they're giving me $95 freaking million.
Yeah.
His
what
bank
would you
account's
do?
not sad.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
I'm already the winningest coach here. What am I supposed to do anymore?
What I keep getting you guys into the playoffs and you can't win. I mean, what are you guys good for? I'm leaving.
But like, you wake them up at 7 a.m. for 4 minutes. Like, nope, hard pass.
Yeah, just to give the
Pretty
breakup
important
speech.
thing,
It's
yeah.
not you, it's me.
Yeah. Look, you guys are great. He's like, he said I don't know the AD's name, but he's like, he's going to find somebody great to lead you guys. Just a bunch of amazing young men here. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I probably would have walked out of the meeting.
Well, he had to do the meeting because it was probably, he looks like a cat if he doesn't do it.
Yeah, you already sent him a text.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he had to send him a text basically to say, hey, let's meet tomorrow. I'm leaving.
That's all crap compared to the Bo Pelini exit meeting. That was
That's
sweet.
right.
The
Bo
leaked
Pelini-
audio that came out of there.
Bo Pelini did it the right way.
That's right. We all agree with that.
Get fired.
Let it go viral. Make it go viral. F-bombs everywhere.
Well, Brian Kelly's is going viral. Just no F-bombs.
No. He didn't get fired either.
No.
He got promoted.
No. Yeah. Okay. This first story comes from APnews.com. New Mexico State, the university, is allowing students to pay for their parking citations with peanut butter.
Why is that?
If you give them at least 80 ounces, which is about 5 or 6 small jars of peanut butter, that will be enough payment for your parking citation.
They're giving it to like the food bank or
yes,
something?
they're taking the donations and giving them to where is it at? The Aggie Cupboard.
That's
the
a
food
great
pantry
idea.
serving the campus community.
That's a great idea.
Maybe they're low on peanut butter. Maybe that's the problem.
No jelly?
Nope, no jelly.
New
just peanut
Mexico,
butter.
it's hard to find peanut
I
butter.
mean, my thing is six small jars of peanut butter might be more than your parking citation.
Yeah, I'll just give you
depending
$10, whatever.
What if you get the jar of peanut butter and jelly already mixed together?
Oh, that one's
I don't know
good.
about
Yeah,
that.
I like that
Yeah,
one.
That one's disgusting. I don't know why that's gross.
My brother was the meter guy back in college.
Meter maid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a meter maid back in college.
Did anybody ever rip his head off?
He got a lot of threats.
Well, he's
Oh,
alive.
He got and one of them from Janet Nee, Danny Nee's wife.
Awesome.
When he told her she couldn't park at a certain place, and she said, "You know who I am?" And he goes, "I know who you are, but you can't park there."
Hey, very important, but also
Yeah.
you can't park here.
Yeah. He used to put notes on my tickets. Like he would leave a ticket, and he goes, "You're lucky it's me."
Oh, nice. So you got away with some.
Yeah, I got away with it.
Wow. You should go give peanut butter.
Yeah, that's right. I everybody deserves peanut butter. I love peanut butter.
I'm just gonna start leaving a jar of peanut butter on my car for the parking people.
That's right.
When I-
Just leave it
I'm
on the
just like,
hood, and then they
this
won't
is for you.
Yes.
Please don't give me a ticket.
I bet I spent $1,000 in tickets.
You
Tom.
think you did?
In my college career.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought you were
man.
still saying like I thought you were gonna say like a year. Like
No.
Tom, just pay for parking.
No, I mean you remember you'd go around the parking lot and you'd be like sharks all going for the same spot.
Yeah,
you probably
yeah.
did. You have that happen?
Oh yeah.
And then you just park somewhere where you weren't supposed to, and that's where my tickets.
Again, I've been
accumulated.
told that you don't necessarily have to pay those things. I've said it before.
They won't give you your grades if
I
you
think
don't.
it's a secret. I think there's a certain limit that
Yeah,
you
I
can't.
just lived
the
close enough to
threshold you can't
campus,
pass.
and all my classes were close enough. I just walked from my house.
Yeah.
To get
wasn't
my
trying to
grades
deal with
one
that.
year, I had to pay off the tickets, and it was
I always parked
it
in
was
like
expensive.
random parking lots and like shut down businesses.
Yeah, you just park like across the street from campus in some
Yeah.
random place,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
That's right.
Don't
Well-
park on campus. That's too expensive.
Anything else?
Yeah, this comes from the Straits Times in India. An Indian, this one's funny. Indian wedding music is blamed for the death of 63 chickens.
Oh no! You know how
There
we
was
love
a
chickens on this show.
there was a wedding procession. They had music, fireworks, dancing, and a marching band. No, the fireworks didn't kill the chickens. They say it was the music and how loud it was. It shocked the chickens, and 63 of them had heart attacks.
That's not funny.
Wow,
that's awful.
That's not fun. But you can still eat the chicken.
Yes, you can still eat the chickens. They
But
they scare the
don't-
chickens into death.
They don't
with
taste
music.
as good if they're scared to death. I don't think.
You sure? Maybe it
When
tastes
was the
better.
last time you ate a chicken and said this chicken tastes like it was scared to death?
There's something wrong here.
This chicken didn't die the way I
It
think
tastes
it did.
funny. It really tastes funny. I think it was scared to death.
There is an idea that we talked about hunting the other day, that if you kill like a buck or whatever that doesn't see it coming, it'll taste better because his like blood doesn't start rushing, right?
I don't know.
I believe that.
I'm not going to pretend.
You have
to
some
know
of the
that.
weirdest facts I've
I
ever
believe
heard
it
in
to
my
be
life.
true.
I don't care if it's true. I just want it to be true.
Bock's going to be a cannibal. He's just like, yeah, I got this guy when he didn't see it coming.
Yeah, dude, it's a
Tastes
surprise.
delicious.
Yeah,
that's right.
If
His
they
blood
know it's
wasn't
coming,
pumping.
it doesn't taste as good.
Such a weird man. I love him.
Wouldn't it taste better because the blood is pumping into the muscles? Because it's going to try and get away.
I don't know the exact science behind it.
I'm not a doctor.
I feel terrible talking about this.
Yeah. It makes me hungry, actually. I'm really hungry right now for chicken. Thank you, Rico. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
no problem.
We're going to
go see somebody.
That's right. That's right. The college football playoffs, the newest rankings, of course, are out. No changes, right? There were no changes other than outside the top four.
Ohio State dropped.
Oh, that's right. Ohio State did drop. But we knew that was
Michigan
happening.
jumped.
That's
too.
right. Michigan and Ohio State switched places, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
But we'll talk about that and where we go from here. Also, a little bit later on next hour, David Eichholt. David Eichholt for 24/7 Sports writes about Iowa football. We'll talk to him. But in the meantime, it's Box Tops. It's coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
At the Nebraska Ag Expo, we're passionate about sharing all the latest and greatest innovations and technologies that agriculture has to offer to help increase profits, lower costs, and improve the way you farm and ranch. Grab your neighbor and come on out to this year's show. Visit with nearly 1,700 ag experts, all under one roof. December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Lancaster Event Center. Register online for free admission at nebraskaagexpo.com. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
Breakfast tacos, brisket tacos, pork tacos, chicken tacos. You hungry yet? I can keep going. Pork or chicken, queso nachos, queso mac and cheese, hatch mac burritos. Now you're salivating. Muchachos is Lincoln's premier New Mexico barbecue fusion restaurant. You can't miss them in their bright blue building. Pair that great food with delicious coffee for breakfast and a variety of local and national beers on tap the rest of the day. Order your food online at yomuchacho.com or visit them in person at Muchachos on South 11th Street between L and K Streets.
The team that just won't quit
Together, 3, 1, 2, 3.
is about to play for the division lead.
Bridgewater leads the football to the pylon. Patrick is there. Portland makes a leaping catch and into the end zone.
Sunday night, the Broncos battle the Chiefs for first place.
Touchdown, Denver.
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs kick off at 6:20. Pregame starts at 4 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket. And now, story time from the world of Yum.
I could not eat fruitcake. I would not eat it by a lake. I would not eat it with a snake. There's no amount that I would take because I'll never, ever eat fruitcake. Hey, these snacks are really good. What is this? This is Grandma's fruitcake, but it's so moist and delicious. I like fruitcake. Okay, good to know. Kids, I gotta go. All literature is a lie.
Check out Grandma's Fruitcake and all the delicious desserts at Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Coppell Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockoven.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans, and when we're in Italy, we do as Italians. So Italians, they eat pizza after the game.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Welcome, hour number 2 of Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens, Jake Bockoven there. We're talking about the bracket which Nebraska volleyball plays in the Austin Regional. If they were to win 2 this weekend, and they're going to win 2 this weekend, they're going to beat Campbell on Friday, then probably Kansas State or Florida State on Saturday. And then they move on to the Austin Regional. That regional includes Texas, Washington, and Kentucky, meaning Nebraska is in a bracket with 3 other Power 5 champions. John Cook says he's not sure the selection committee did Nebraska any favors. It seems like a little that's what coaches do, right? We're in a really tough bracket. And if they would have been put in the Wisconsin bracket, there would have been some complaining to do there as well. I think Nebraska is capable of getting to the Elite Eight. This is going to be a tough year, though, to win a national title. If they pull it off this year, he's the best coach in the history of mankind. I mean, seriously, with all the super seniors and how good Texas is, and Louisville and Kentucky and Wisconsin, and how deep the Big Ten, to finish second in the Big Ten was pretty impressive. Yeah. I thought to win a national championship with all the super seniors this year is just going to be an uphill climb. Nebraska has a couple, of course, Lexi Sun. They have Lauren Stivrins. But there's some other teams that are just loaded with them.
Well, in this tournament, at least as opposed to last year, Lauren Stivrins will be healthy, and that's a big deal for him. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to beat all those teams. You just got to beat the team in front of you. Some of them will lose to other teams. So I think there's still a possibility. It might be an outside shot, but it's not like it's not like they're Rudy here. They're still a top 10 team in the nation, so they have an opportunity to get it done.
This is a new segment that we're going to do at the top of every hour, at least when we feel like it. It's called Box Briefs.
Hey, what do you think? Boxers or briefs? Oh, boxers. Oh, briefs. Briefs. Look, no, I'm looking at this guy.
They're looking at that guy.
All right, Box Briefs. I like it.
It's a long intro, but I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. All right, Austin Allen's the big man of the day. He actually, they just announced this, the Quallet Clark tight end of the year in the Big Ten was given to Austin Allen. We mentioned it earlier in the show. He was selected by the media to be the tight end of the year. Well, the coaches went with a different tight end, and Jake Ferguson out there out at Wisconsin. But Austin Allen ultimately gets the nod here at tight end because he won the Quallet Clark tight end of the year. Huge for Nebraska. I don't think they've had a player win award. The Big Ten does this, or they give that the Graham George Offensive Player of the Year. Everybody has their historic connections there. Nebraska has not won one of those awards outside of specialists, which of course, as we all know, Kicker of the Year they've won. But I think maybe Alfonso did it, Levante David, going back to when Nebraska joined the Big Ten. I have to go back and see exactly if that's correct, but it's been a while. So congratulations to Nebraska's Austin Allen. Other news there, wide receiver of the year, David Bell of Purdue. Running back of the year, of course, Kenneth Walker of Michigan State. Quarterback, freshman, and offensive player of the year nod goes to C.J. Stroud. That makes it 9 out of 11 years that the quarterback of the year, since they started handing out this award, has gone to the Ohio State quarterback.
They're cheating. They're obviously cheating. They know somebody on the awards committee.
Something like that, or they just run the conference and always have the best quarterback.
They always have the best quarterbacks is another explanation there. So.
Also for Austin Allen, it's the first offense or defensive player selected the first team since
the first tight end?
First player at all on offense or defense selected to the first team since what year do you think?
Since Amir Abdullah, since 2014, 13?
Yeah, you're actually right on the year. 2014.
It wasn't Amir, though.
It wasn't Amir, because Amir, remember, there was a great running back.
Amir was gone.
He was there in 2014.
Okay, was he gone? Okay.
It was just that the fact that there was that was like the running back conference that year. It was really hard to get in. So wide receiver Kenny Bell was the last first teamer on offense or defense until today. So congratulations to Austin Allen. How about this first team all conference selection at tight end? since what for Nebraska?
Wow.
What tight end would be the last
Tracy
one?
Wistrom.
A little later than that, 2003's Matt Harrion was selected first team All Big 12.
All right. Then that makes sense. Matt Harrion, who had a great early part of his career, and then he got injured, and he never was the same.
Yeah, that's right.
By his
he
junior.
was really headed to somewhere special, but of course did get injured.
Yeah.
The three selections that are with Austin Allen, of course, yesterday we learned JoJo Doman, Cam Taylor-Britt, both on second team. JoJo had one third team selection, but a second team selection was also. Those three selections are the most of the Frost era and the most since 2016. But I did have this question for you as we see. We're waiting for Austin Allen. We'll see where he'd get drafted. You think it would be above the 7th round?
I think somewhere around the 4th or 5th round.
If he's drafted above the 7th round, I got another question for you. Who's the last tight end for Nebraska drafted above the 7th round? Of course, this is excluding Niles Paul, who was drafted as a wide receiver.
That's right. Niles Paul did make the switch to tight end. Was it in that time frame?
No. It's been a while.
Junior Miller,
Johnny Mitchell
was
the last pick above the 7th round from the tight end selection. I think Sheldon Jackson, Tracy Wistrom, those guys got drafted in the 7th round.
Junior Miller was a first round pick.
Junior Miller was a first round product in 1992. But it's been that long since Nebraska's had a tight end, which is surprising when you think of, Mike McNeil's, Kyler Reed's.
Johnny Miller was a freak of nature. I mean, he was a really good athlete. So
that was back when they had first round picks.
That's right. That is, I can't remember those days because it's not happening this year, nor for a while. Is there anybody on this roster that you see potentially being a first round pick?
I don't think so.
Cricket. All right.
Maybe Cam Jurgens could work his way into that. He'd have to be really impressive.
I think he could be a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite in that category yet.
There's nobody on this roster right now that could be a first round pick. But it could be there. Somebody could be there.
Yeah.
But probably not. Let's get to box tops. It's that time.
All right, Nebraska is traveling to Raleigh, North Carolina, to play North Carolina State tonight. So in honor of that, we're going to go through North Carolina State's 10 most famous alumni. One of our favorite things to do here on Box Tops. So let's start this one. Number 10, how about John Edwards? He's a candidate for a Democratic president nomination in 2004 and 2008. However, his political career came crashing to a burn when he was indicted by a federal grand jury in 2011 on 6 felony charges of violating multiple federal campaign contribution laws to cover up an extramarital affair, which he eventually admitted to. And he was not convicted of a crime, but the fact that he engaged in the extramarital affair, including the fact that his wife was sick as well, so that didn't help. It really kind of hurt his public image and ended his career in politics. But he did go to the Wolfpack. He was a Wolfpack.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's good. North Carolina State's a good school, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good school.
Yeah,
number 9 on my list, how about Jill Suzanne Wagner? She's an American actress and television personality, best known for being the on-field host for the ABC game show Wipeout from 2008 to 2004. Did you like Wipeout?
I do like Wipeout. There's versions of it still out there.
Yeah. And it's basically just a copy of other games that have been played throughout the history of time.
I think it's fun. I like to see people crash
and get hurt.
Yeah, and get hurt. They never seem to get hurt.
They don't seem to get hurt. They don't show the guys and women that
Maybe
get hurt.
The people that die, they just never show them.
I think that's the way it is. Number 8 on my list, Scotty McCreery, a big country music fan.
No, not really.
Me either. He won the 10th season of American Idol, though. Are you a big American Idol fan?
I do remember him. I was with a radio station where we covered American Idol all the time, and I remember Scotty McCreery. But I just that show eventually drove me insane.
Yeah, it's still going.
Is it still on?
I think it is.
Okay.
Happer's got some.
You guys talk about my best friend Scotty McCreery.
You're a big Scotty McCreery fan?
I met him in Vegas.
Oh, that's right. That's who you saw in Vegas.
How did that go?
At Topgolf. It was great. And then I realized that he was like I'm pretty short. I'm like 5'9". He's probably 5'6".
Right.
Huh. And what did you say when you met him?
I was like, hello. Because the whole deal was I hit like a golf shot, and if you hit a golf, if you get enough points, you get this meet and greet with Scotty McCreery.
That was so that you won it.
I won the meeting.
And how excited were you?
Not very, but everybody in my group, they had done it the year before, and they were all excited because the year before it was Darius Rucker, and like he would go to the individual bays and like have beers and hang out with the people.
Oh, nice.
Was
So
that
they were
better
like,
than
this could happen again with Scotty McCreery, but it did not. It was just like, let's go hang out with Scotty McCreery for 5 minutes and then walk back and play Top Golf.
Did you know who Scotty McCreery was before
Yes,
that?
from American Idol, and he had the really deep voice.
Yeah.
He also met Jamie Moyer once, and nobody knows
In
who it
Lincoln.
was. In Lincoln, Nebraska. That
Jamie
was
Moyer
just-
was walking down the street in Lincoln, and me and Sorensen were sitting downtown, and I go, Jake, is that Jamie Moyer? And he was like, what are you talking about?
I would never know them in that context, in a place where they
A baseball player, it's hard to spot, yeah.
especially in Lincoln, Nebraska. You wouldn't expect it to be that.
And he's just an old, like he was like a 50-year-old white guy, you know?
Just an old dude.
Pretty sure that was Jamie Moyer.
And then we tracked him down, and Jake was like, are you by chance Jamie Moyer? I was like, yes, I am.
What was he doing in Lincoln?
He was speaking at like some Salt Dogs thing.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Did you have any other chance meetings with celebrities?
Oh, yeah, I had dinner with Andy North once.
Oh, yeah.
On accident.
Why was that on
the
accident?
golfer?
Because he travels with the Wisconsin basketball team for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
So he was down in the PBA media room, and I was like, I sat down at this table. There was a guy there. I had dinner, had a good conversation with him, and I was like, man, that guy looks familiar. And then Parker Gabriel came up to me afterwards, and he was like, you know who that was, right? And I was like, no, who was it? He's like, it's Andy North. You just had dinner with Andy North.
That's Happer's brush with greatness.
Yes.
They're very obscure.
They are, but that's very cool.
The more obscure, the better.
None of them went to North Carolina State, however.
Except for Scotty McCreery.
Yeah, that's right. Scotty McCreery did.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Raleigh, North Carolina, great town.
Yeah.
Great town.
Have you been?
Yes, many times.
Really? Why'd you go to
I have
Raleigh?
family there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I would like to go there sometime. I always thought the Wolfpack is like one of the coolest names you could
I agree.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't capitalize on it because they're not good in any sports usually.
Yeah, not a lot of sports love in Raleigh.
And it's
No.
Jimmy V week.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. It's Jimmy V week, so it's a big week for North Carolina State.
All right, we're done talking about Scotty McCreery. Thanks, Happer.
Thank you, Happer. Appreciate it.
All right, how about number 7 on my list? James Goodnight, the billionaire. He's been the CEO of SAS Institute since 1976, which he co-founded with that year, actually, with other faculty members of North Carolina State University. He met his wife there while she was a senior there, so it's kind of cool. Goodnight is the world's 172nd and America's 55th richest individual, with a net worth of approximately $9 billion as of October 2018. I haven't get any later information on that, but every school seems to have their billionaire, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, we do. I mean, we have the richest guy, maybe like one of the 5 richest guys in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Right? But he doesn't give any money to the athletic department. I wonder if this guy gives money to the athletic department.
Yeah, it wouldn't seem to hurt these guys too much if they did, but yeah. Anyways, number 6 on my list, how about Joanne Benoit? The marathon runner was the first women's Olympic Games marathon champion, winning the gold medal at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. She held the fastest time for American women at the Chicago Marathon for 32 years after winning the race in 1984. She also timed in the Boston Marathon. The first time she ran the Boston Marathon, she won it. It was the fastest time by an American woman at that race for 28 years. She held that record. She earned All-American honors at North Carolina State in both 1977 and 1978. And then it was the next year where she was relatively unknown that she won the Boston Marathon with a Boston Red Sox hat on.
That's impressive. Yeah. That's I always appreciate marathon runners because it's something I couldn't do.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's a long time.
I mean, people that aren't always in shape can run marathons, but I you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you see several people finish marathons that don't look like great athletes,
right?
In some cases, but I've tried. I couldn't do a half marathon.
Have you tried? I kind of want to try someday.
I'm not good at distance running.
That's why I could get one of those stickers. Those are the most.
You want the
important
sticker?
Yeah,
You just want to run for the sticker.
to put on my.
They'd probably
back of my
give you a
car.
sticker. You wouldn't even have to run.
All right, how about number 5 on my list? Donald Bitzer. He's the father of the plasma television. He was the co-inventor of the plasma display and is widely regarded as the father of plasma TV. Big plasma TV fan. That's a throwback to the 90s. That was cool.
Yeah. Did they not have plasma in the TV anymore?
It doesn't seem as though
I don't know.
That's the case.
It's all HD and you can't have plasma with that. I don't know. I don't know what plasma means. I've always heard that term. I just don't know what it means.
I don't necessarily know what it means either, but I remember the plasma TVs. They would like project, kind of, wouldn't they? They were kind of cool.
I guess.
But
he's still rich.
Yeah, he's still rich.
I'm still rich.
He's not selling many plasma TVs, but I'm sure he's doing fine. Number 4 on my list, how about Bill Cowher? Of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl winning coach. He actually played at North Carolina State. He's a starting linebacker and a team captain, as well as MVP his senior year when he graduated in 1979. But you don't really think of Bill Cowher, the player. Of course, he went. His coaching career was all in the NFL, so he never really had a pit stop at North Carolina State after that.
He retired fairly young too.
He did.
He's been doing TV for a long, long time.
You're like, I won. That's good.
I'm retired. It's kind of. He went Bob Stoops.
Yeah,
it's kind of the similar ages when they retired. Just like, I know I'm young, could coach a lot more time, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I think I've already done it. I did what I was supposed to the Super Bowl. How much better does it get? Number 3 on my list, how about John Tesh? He hosts the Intelligence for Your Life radio show, the John Tesh Show. He's one of my favorite broadcasters of all time.
Is it really?
I think so. I loved listening to him. You know, he always gives you nice information.
Intelligence for Your Life.
That's right. He gives you really good information. He doesn't seem to be very, it's hard these days to give information without being, making people angry. He never really makes anybody angry.
Yeah. 5 minutes of jogging could save your life. Back with more after this.
Yes.
John Tesh Radio Hour.
John Tesh was awesome. He's awesome. He's still there.
I interviewed him actually before. He's a really good guy.
He's just got a nice soothing voice too. Yeah. John Tesh is awesome. He probably should be higher on my list. Number 2 on my list, Charlotte Flair, of course, the WWE wrestler who's, I think, the current champion. She's, of course, the daughter of Ric Flair. She actually attended Appalachian State in North Carolina a few years, playing volleyball in the 2005-2006 season, but ended up transferring to North Carolina State, and I believe she graduated from there. So Charlotte Flair, one of the best wrestlers, modern-day wrestlers, I would say.
And she's not actually crazy like she presents herself. I mean, Ric Flair.
Maybe.
I don't know. I never know what to make of these wrestlers because they're on camera. Persona is nuts.
Yeah.
And then they get off camera, they're pretty normal. Ric Flair, I think, is genuinely crazy all the time.
He's like taking his bit and made it his life.
I mean, he lives a crazy life.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Charlotte is that way. She probably tries to be a little bit that way because, chip off the old block.
But if you don't watch wrestling, you would think, maybe nepotism there. Yeah, they just throw in there. She's one of the most athletic. Like, she's legitimately the best probably female wrestler in the world.
She's good at it.
She does like backflips off the top ropes. She's crazy.
I'd like to hear a wrestling show with you at DP.
Yeah, sometime we got to get that together.
You guys would be great together at that.
And I think he knows Charlotte Flair to a degree.
Oh, he knows her.
Yeah, because he knows Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So maybe he's probably better.
He's partied with Ric Flair. He's told me the stories. It's crazy. It's nuts.
Number 1 on my list, Zach Galifianakis actually went to North Carolina State. He's attended there for a while. He majored in communications, just like me. Me and Zach Galifianakis.
You're the same guy, pretty much.
He actually taught a waltz class in 1991 when he was going there, and he crossed paths with Mary J. Blige. So that's kind of a weird note about his time at North Carolina State. But you're a big Zach Galifianakis fan. He was like in every movie 5 years ago,
right?
And then his career kind of died off a little bit.
I think he's still around. I mean, it's a strong list. It's not an overwhelming list.
It's not an overwhelming list. I had to dive pretty deep for North Carolina State.
I have a buddy that was a world-class diver at North Carolina State. He's from Dagenham, England, and he was recruited from England to dive at North Carolina State, became a world-class diver.
How did you meet him?
I worked in radio with him years ago, and he had this British accent, and he'd call everybody a bloke.
Oh, nice.
Hey, bloke, how you doing, bloke?
I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. Can Americans do that?
Well, here's the thing. Not a handsome man, but women love the accent.
Oh,
They just loved it. So he had no problems.
Was he a good guy to go out with then?
Oh, he was a good guy to go out with, but in England they start drinking in pubs when they're like 14.
Right.
And he was a world-class drinker. And he was really good. He was a party machine. Didn't help the job. Eventually he was fired. So I had to get another partner after he was fired because he would always be hungover. So
yeah, well, that happens.
But it does happen. I mean, you can't blame him completely for that. He did really well in business, though. Actually became the diving coach for the University of Missouri. So he lifted himself beyond where he was at our time together, and he
fell upward.
He fell upward. That's well put. Let's get to break and come back with our views on the college football playoff rankings. There's a lot that could happen here with Championship Saturday about to arrive, and we want to talk about it. We'll do it next on Tom and Bock.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served Buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. November's beers of the month are from Nebraska Brewing Company, Oscar Blues Dale's Pale Ale, and Avery Brew. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
This is a Broncos Radio Network update.
Touchdown, Denver! How about that? I like that!
Broncos insider Brandon Cristal, as we'll be reminded over and over this week, Denver's dropped its last 11 games to the Chiefs. And linebacker Bradley Chubb knows if they're going to break that streak, they have one focal point.
Getting after Mahomes, man. If the offense revolves around 15, we got to stop the run first. That's every week. Got to get after the quarterback. And like I said, that's our job as outside linebackers, as pass rushers. We got to affect and get him off his spot, make him change his arm angle and stuff like that. We know he can do that, but trying to make him as uncomfortable as we can. So that's going to be the game plan.
Then rookie linebacker Ben Browning's played in some big games at Ohio State, but knows as far as NFL stadiums go, Arrowhead is certainly different.
I mean, I just heard the atmosphere is crazy. That's really about it. I haven't heard too much else. I'm just kind of approaching it as any other game. I mean, you can't let the noise kind of get to you. You have to block it out and just, approach it the same way you would any game.
The Broncos are back on the practice field Wednesday, getting ready to play at the Chiefs Sunday night.
You're listening to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. It is Tom and Bock. It's Wednesday, and that's the day we nominate. Actually, you nominate somebody to win something really cool from Beatrice Bakery. We're looking for you to nominate, just somebody who needs a lift, or just somebody that maybe just could use a little recognition, a nonprofit group, a friend. Their cakes, their desserts from Beatrice Bakery. Go to beatricebakery.com to check that out. Perfect for the holidays, by the way.
Who doesn't want some cake?
All right, it's awesome. The cakes are absolutely amazing. We've tasted them all, and sometimes we'll taste them just to let people know that they're great because they are great. My favorite is the lemon drop, but they have pineapple macadamia nut. They have turtle nut cake. They have all sorts of great fruit cakes. And I'm not a fruitcake fan, but their fruit cakes are absolutely amazing. But just go to the top of theticketfm.com and nominate your someone. And we'll deliver it. You don't have to do anything other than just nominate them and fill out the card there. It's brief. It takes just a few seconds to do so. And we'll deliver some goodies to somebody that deserves it.
Between Beatrice Bakery, us, and you, we'll bring a smile to someone's day.
That's right.
We need your help.
Well put, Bock. We do need your help. College football playoff, there was a shift. I mean, as expected, we knew that Michigan and Ohio State was basically a playoff game, and it turned out to be. So the new rankings include Georgia at number 1, Michigan at number 2, Alabama has moved up to number 3, and then you've got, or moved down actually, weren't they second? And then you've got Cincinnati at number 4. Do you expect it to stay that way, Bock, after Championship Saturday?
No, obviously you're going to have some movement after the SEC championship game. And I think that, I think all of us are kind of leaning in towards Georgia. Alabama's really been struggling offensively, so Georgia should be able to win that game. I think Cincinnati's going to get in.
How much movement, though, will there be if Alabama wins? If Alabama wins, Georgia's still in. I mean, there'll be movement, but you would think Georgia will still be in, right?
Yeah.
Georgia's still going to be in. If Alabama loses, I think they're out. They have to be out. The interesting thing for me is what happens with Oklahoma State playing Baylor. If Oklahoma State beats Baylor, they're going to have a discussion. Even if Alabama beats Georgia, I think there's going to be a discussion. I mean, because I think what will happen with the Oklahoma State beating Baylor, they would have beaten 2 top 10 teams in a row, right? They beat Oklahoma last week.
Yeah.
They will beat they'll beat Baylor if they do win that game again. That's, in my mind, that's a better resume than Cincinnati. Even if Cincinnati beats Houston in the AAC championship game.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati, if they get in, it's going to be at number 4, basically, regardless of what happens. So that'll match them up with Georgia, who they had a pretty good bowl matchup with last year, actually. Georgia barely won that game. But I mean, I think that's what we're headed toward. It is feasible that Oklahoma State loses and the Alabama thing still happens. And then Notre Dame would probably get in. Without a head coach, though. The Iowa athletic director, who's head of the college football playoff table, Gary Barta said that they would factor in the fact that Notre Dame doesn't have their head coach, Brian Kelly, right now. So Brian Kelly might have hurt his team, and certainly has hurt his team's chances to get to the college football playoff because of leaving off for the LSU job. So that's interesting, and it almost opens up the idea because Notre Dame's kind of always the backup option. If they don't feel comfortable putting in a team without their head coach, then you go back to the Alabama 2-loss team, the Ohio State 2-loss team. So, I mean, it's because you're running out. So a 2-loss team could get in if Georgia beats Alabama, and you have a little bit of chaos if Michigan loses.
Right. If Michigan loses, maybe Cincinnati loses.
Yeah, Cincinnati could lose.
I mean, I always root for chaos. In this case, I kind of want Cincinnati to be in. I kind of want Oklahoma State to be in.
You want Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State. Is that what you're hoping for?
I'd be happy with that. I don't want Alabama. I don't want Alabama in. I don't think they're deserving. Heck, if Auburn would have found a way to just kneel at the end of that game with a 10-point lead, a 10-3 lead at that time, they win that game. Alabama, they drove 97 yards. That was impressive. Nice, and probably the Heisman moment for Bryce Young in that game. But in my mind, they kind of lost that game, and Auburn gave it away. But I guess luck is involved to a certain degree in any college football national championship. Nebraska had it with the kicker, the kick six, basically. So.
Well, if Alabama wins this year, and I don't think they will, But if they did win, you're not confusing them with Alabama teams of past. They're not a great Alabama team just because they'd have to slide by so many opponents. So I mean, I don't think it could happen, but I mean, usually there's going to be one upset, right? It's usually not chalk. So between Georgia, Michigan, even it's Cincinnati, like you said, Oklahoma State. I think there's a solid chance for Notre Dame to get in there.
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance for Notre Dame. It's gonna be fun. I usually root for mayhem, and I'm rooting for Alabama to get beat. That's not really mayhem. I mean, that's just what's expected. We all expect Georgia, who's a 6.5-point favorite, to win that game, but you never know. It will be interesting to see what happens if you have a few of these teams like Oklahoma State. I think they're a really big deal here. If they win that game over Baylor, I don't know how you keep them out of the top 4 with that resume. They're a really good football team, and they've done it from the defensive side this year. Not what you'd expect with Oklahoma State offensively, even though they did win a shootout a little bit, 37-33 versus Oklahoma. But I do want to mention this as well. Nebraska might have a running back problem. We'll see. Marvin Scott has announced that he is in the transfer portal. He entered the portal along with Sevion Morrison, of course, who previously announced his intention, last week? Mm-hmm. So now you've got Marvin Scott joining him in the transfer portal. It's not like you're losing a ton of carries or a ton of yards. He ran 17 times for 66 yards this year, 2 TDs. He also had 1 catch for 9 yards. But it does make you wonder, I thought Sevion Morrison might be the answer. I thought he was going to eventually win that job. He didn't. It was Ramir Johnson, who was really the 4th or 5th guy on the depth chart coming out of fall camp. That was a big shocker that nobody took hold, as Scott Frost wanted them to do, take hold of that running back position and win it. It ultimately became Ramir's almost by default. But then he got injured late in the season, and you had a little bit of Marquise Stepp. You had a little bit of Sevion Morrison. You had mostly Ramir Johnson, who kind of became your lead back. But all of it, basically happened after Gabe Ervin got injured. I wonder how it would have worked out if Gabe Ervin had stayed injury-free.
Yeah.
He's probably your dude. He does come back next year. Marquise Stepp will, I'm guessing, come back next year. And that leaves Ramir, Gabe Ervin, Marquise Stepp.
And Jacquez
Yan. Who's the walk-on who probably will end up getting the scholarship at some point.
And he looks, to me, at least at this point, at the highest ceiling of all of them. If he can rein that in. So I wasn't surprised. Marvin Scott didn't figure to be too much of a factor in the running back room moving forward. No. It's just interesting to see their strategy because they have a crowded running back room now with Ramir, Yant, Ervin, and Stepp. That's a solid group that's all had their carries and their time here. They're separate, kind of being the top running back in the room at a certain time here. But do you have your stud there? Do you want to go to the portal and try to find a stud? Is that one of the positions? I mean, because there's so many positions they're going to have to go to the portal to, or do they think, that running back room is pretty solid? I think we can work with it.
Well, you got to fix the offensive line. So, I don't think it's all running back issues as far as Nebraska is concerned. Nebraska finished 47th in the nation in rushing average at 180 yards per game. They averaged 4.41 yards per game. Actually, a nice piece written by a BC of Husker 24/7, breaking some of this stuff down. So appreciate that. But in 2018, of course, Nebraska had its last 1,000-yard rusher. That was Divine Azigbo, a back that obviously Scott Frost did not recruit and didn't even start playing until, a little bit full-time, a little bit into the season. But it's been that long, since 2018, that Nebraska has come close to a 1,000-yard rusher. And you're looking at that crew of running backs and wonder if there's a Kenneth Walker in the group. If there was, he probably would have shown himself by now. So maybe you do need to go to the portal. We've talked about, reducing the carries. It was a conversation that we had going into this year. Like, we can't have Adrian carrying the ball all the time. He can't be your leading rusher. Well, he was your leading rusher.
Oh, and what was the other idea? Or he'd get beat up and hurt. And what happened?
And he got
beat up and hurt.
Yeah. Adrian had 133 carries, 21 more than any running back on the roster. And we saw, even when Adrian goes out, Logan Smothers, 24 carries. This is a quarterback-dependent running game. Now, you can blame it on the offensive line, but it's kind of been that way. Even in 2018, the quarterback took a beating with the running game. That's the one thing I want to see fixed, is give me a running back, give me an offensive line that can block for that running back, and let's get another 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is, quite frankly, crap. When your leading rusher is Adrian at over 500, 525, and then you drop down to Ramir Johnson, and it's not even really close after that. Ramir had 495 yards. Jaquez Yant had 294 yards. Marquise Stepp, 177. Logan Smothers, 133. Gabe Ervin, 124. That's it. That shouldn't be like that. I never thought it would be like that coming from UCF with Scott Frost.
Oh, no. I mean, again, it's kind of the position players. You always thought the position players, when Scott Frost came in from UCF, that they would just love to get into this offense, and they've never been able to get a running back going, like you said, other than the second half of the first year under Frost. So it's disappointing. And it's actually pretty impressive that despite not getting that sort of production from the running game, the traditional running game, that they're able to have the offensive numbers they are.
They can manufacture a running game, and it wasn't like they were terrible. They're like 4th, 5th in the league, and 2nd in total offense. So they were able to have offensive output. But when you really needed it to extend, like, it wouldn't have been nice, you're leading 21-6 versus Iowa, and you just close out the game with a running game?
Oh, yeah.
That would have been...
Or those red zone problems where they just can't push people. I mean, Ramir did it a few times there toward late at the end of the season, but for the most part, the red zone struggles are a part of, because they, you can't get the traditional running game going, get 3-4 yards of pop down there.
Let's go to the phone line, so the Honda of Lincoln hotline, actually, with Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, guys. 1,000% agree with everything you just said. Let's just look at the last 2 Nebraska losses. What did Wisconsin do? They ran the ball with the running backs, not the quarterback. What did Iowa do? They ran the ball with Goodson. Look at Michigan's win over Ohio State. What did they do? They ran the ball with the running backs. There is no way, if they keep on this trajectory, whether it's Adrian Martinez, Logan Smothers, I don't care who the quarterback is, in terms of long-term sustainability over the course of the season, the quarterback's going to get beat up too much, and that leads to mistakes. And when you put that much around and on the quarterback, and that's where I will defend Adrian, or whoever the quarterback is for Nebraska, if they keep this same type of system, it's not going to work long term. You can't compete consistently with that inept of a running game at the running back position. So they've got to get it figured out, and if they don't, it's just going to be continued tough sledding.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. And I'm not an advocate for going to the pro style statue of a quarterback. I still want to see guys like Adrian or Logan Smothers that have athleticism, but I don't want them carrying the ball 24 times a game. And I don't, as we mentioned, Nebraska quarterbacks, it wasn't just Adrian. There were times when Luke was beat up and Noah was beat up. He had all 3 of them beat up at the same time because Nebraska was so dependent on the quarterback. And even without that, I mean, you have injuries. Iowa was dealing with their own injuries between, Petrus and Padilla. All teams go through injuries even without running their quarterback. It's just you just magnify it when you're so dependent on the quarterback. Again, I want the elusive guy I want Adrian to have. What was it early in the season? It might have been against Oklahoma, the 75-yard run. Was that against Oklahoma, the 75-yard run?
Well, I think that was against Illinois.
Was that?
But he might have had 2.
Oh,
he had some 2 70-yard runs.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was against Illinois. I don't want to eliminate that, but that was just the pocket breaks down. He uses his feet to scramble and get yards. I'm all for that. Or buying time with his legs. to extend the play, to still throw it. I want that type of quarterback. I just don't want to be running them all the time.
But wasn't it the Purdue game where it was very obvious that Adrian was hurt and they didn't run any quarterback run plays or design quarterback run plays? And that didn't go well either because, I mean, that's what they've had to rely to do. They don't want to run 24 times a game either, but in order to get the numbers that they've been able to get, they have to, because they don't have that push from the traditional running game. So, you kind of have to choose your battles there. Do you want to still have a prolific offense, or would you take a few more 3 and outs and just kind of setting things up and try to get that traditional run game going a little bit more, with the idea being that long term throughout the season, even though you're going to have a 3 and out that series, instead of extending the drive with the quarterback, putting your quarterback in a bad place, is that he'd stay healthy and that maybe you'd have him everything full go toward the end of the season. And that's, like you said, not a guarantee either. You could not call any run plays, and the same injury that hurt Adrian could have happened because that was not a designed quarterback run.
Yeah, maybe there's a place for the 2 quarterback system in some way. I mean, maybe a Logan Smothers runs your option and Heinrich Harburg gets a few. Rotating quarterbacks almost never works. I'm thinking more out loud right now. If you want to run the quarterback that much, maybe, that's where I thought Luke could play a role with Adrian if he were more accepting of being a wide receiver / running back / quarterback / gadget quarterback. He wanted to be a quarterback. He wanted to be a full-time quarterback. I thought he would have been nice. You move Adrian out to wide receiver. You have Luke take 10 snaps a game, either running or throwing the ball. And I think there's an element to that I really like. Nebraska's probably never going to do that. But if you're going to run the quarterback that much, that's almost what you need to do.
I mean, and teams will do that. I mean, Dylan McCaffrey's a good example of that over there at Michigan, where he'll come in and they're going to run the ball. I mean, remember Blake Bell, the Belldozer at Oklahoma? He would have his packages. A lot of teams have that backup quarterback that specializes in running, and it's coming, and then they go through it,
Minnesota
5 or 6 times a game.
Minnesota does it. Yeah,
exactly. They're gonna run, and then very rarely they can get you on the play action with that because you expect, hey, 15 out of 16 times this guy's running, and then they get you. So I think that they probably could try that, could have tried that maybe to take away some of the hits on Adrian and get Logan's speed out there on the field. But they were very hesitant. Like we said, that Purdue game, when they would not call quarterback run plays, and Adrian threw 4 picks, and they still wouldn't put Logan in there. And I think in hindsight, now that we've seen that Logan's can run that offense against an Iowa-type defense, I think we would have rather at least seen a little bit of him in that game.
I'm hoping with Jaquez Yant is not one of those guys that jumps into the transfer portal. I don't think he will, because I think that guy might have a future at Nebraska. I like what he provides, and I think he's more elusive than He's not Braylon Allen. I don't think he's that good, but he is really good, and a guy that's a gifted runner and gives you a chance to gain yardage, and get 2, 3, 4 yards after contact. I would really like for Nebraska to go get that guy, but they've got a lot of things to fix, and offensive line, along with running back, are among them. Let's get the break and come back with Wingman. It's Wednesday. Are you gonna do it in a country accent?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it in a country accent.
I don't know where we came up with this idea. We take a rock and roll song in most cases, but read the lyrics with a country accent. I don't know why we do it, but we think it's entertaining, even if you don't. It's called Wingman, and it's What's the Hook Wednesday. We'll do it coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served Buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and Bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Aggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
At the Nebraska Ag Expo, we're passionate about sharing all the latest and greatest innovations and technologies that agriculture has to offer to help increase profits, lower costs, and improve the way you farm and ranch. Grab your neighbor and come on out to this year's show. Visit with nearly 1,700 ag experts, all under one roof. December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Lancaster Event Center. Register online for free admission at nebraskaagexpo.com. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
This is Wingman.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. I don't like you because you're dangerous. That's right. You can be my wingman anytime.
Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings on 93.7 The Ticket.
Four 464-5685. Call right now on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Going $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings so you could go buy chickens.
Pollo.
It's What's the Hook Wednesday today. Bock says he's going to sing the song. You guess the name of the song, and you get chickens, pollos, and yardbirds.
Yeah.
All of them. Are you going to do it in a southern singing accent?
I suppose I can try. I don't think I have I'm not very good at impressions.
Is this one of your favorite songs?
This is not one of my favorite songs, but it's topical.
Okay. It's topical.
But it's a solid song. I like the song.
I'll be the wingman today. If I know it, I'll try to help you out. I know a lot of music, so I'm pretty confident I might know this song. So go ahead anytime you're ready, Bock. Sing away.
Okay. Why drink the water from my hand, contagious as you think I am?
Yeah.
Just tilt my son toward your domain. Your cup runneth over again.
You didn't sing it, but you did read it in a country accent.
I could sing it a little bit.
You want to try
Why
singing it?
Drink the water from my hand.
Oh, I know that song.
Just as you think I am.
I know that song. 464-5685. If you know that song, I'll be able to help you out. If you don't know that song, take a guess or just call and I'll give you the name of the song. How's this What's the Hook country accent Wednesday going?
It usually goes better when you sing it, I guess. I don't think anybody knows it yet. No calls.
No, I think people know it. Give them the lyrics one more time.
All right, I'll even sing it with you. So here
Okay.
we go. Why drink the water from my hand? Contagious as you think I am. Just tilt my son toward your domain. Your cup runneth over again.
Rico's giving us a look. Doesn't think we're very good, but I think we nailed it.
Yeah, we got some calls. I think it was just needed the duet of us to sing it.
I think it was pretty good. I think Rico's just a little critical of our singing. 464-5685. Let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline and talk to Austin. Hi, Austin. How are you?
Hey, doing well. I heard you know what it is, Tom. What do you think?
I do know what it is. It is Collective Soul, December.
Okay.
That's what you should go with. Collective Soul.
Collective Soul, December.
There you go. Great job. Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you don't know this song. I think you'll know it maybe if a real singer sings it. Here's Collective Soul and the song.
Just let me out. Don't worry about. Don't speak about. Turn your head now, baby. Just let me out.
Now, Bock, you said it relates to a topic, December.
Yes.
Anything else involved in December that made you think
it's December 1st?
December 1st. Okay. Right.
Welcome to December.
Welcome to December.
Be a good song.
That's right. It was topical. Collective Soul, December. I don't know if we continue to sing on What's the Hook Wednesday, but I say we never give up.
Yeah, I like it. We will be eventually get our American Idol
That's right.
invitation probably.
Yep.
Along with their acting that we're working on other days. So
yeah, our acting's pretty bad, our singing's pretty bad, but we don't give up.
But we give away chickens.
That's right. We just gave away $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings to Austin. Congratulations. I was surprised you didn't know it from the singing there. Oklahoma is losing 4- and 5-star recruits like crazy. Their latest is Malachi Nelson, who is committed to play for Lincoln Riley at USC. He's ranked as the 3rd best prospect in the class of 2023. You think he can turn that around pretty quickly? Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, USC's probably still got, plenty of talent on campus. It's never a problem to recruit there. So, I think he's one of the best bright young minds in college football today. I didn't necessarily expect him to leave Oklahoma, but that's, again, I always say this, there's these jobs out there, Florida, like Florida getting Billy Napier. I love it. I love the Billy Napier hire because he's an up and coming coach, but it's not necessarily one that you go, oh no, now Florida's got the guy. USC, Texas with Steve Sarkisian, the same thing. Okay, well, he's been okay in his head coaching career. This is Lincoln Riley. He's been coaching for like 5 or 6 years and has 2 Heisman Trophy winners in college football, and went to the college football playoff. I know that he didn't build Oklahoma. He took it over from Bob Stoops, but he elevated Oklahoma almost for where Bob Stoops had it toward the latter half of his career. And I think that USC, it doesn't take long to rebuild there.
You shouldn't have to rebuild there, really. I mean, maybe I wonder, because their recruiting classes, even under the last regime, under Clay Helton, were always top 10, right?
Oh yeah, they recruit to themselves. It doesn't really matter the coaches there.
They've already been recruiting well. Maybe they just weren't developed. You always wonder about that, because that's why I think turnarounds happen quickly in many cases, because there was always talent on the roster, and there's somebody that just triggers it.
Yeah,
that's able to coach it. Mick Cronin kind of did that at UCLA. I mean, they always had talent, but with Mick Cronin, they get to the Final Four. It's the ability to get stuff out of guys that was always there, but for some reason or another, the previous dude wasn't able to get it.
Of course, we always go back to Bill Callen and Bo Pelini. Bo Pelini came in with a roster that we didn't know at the time, but just had so much talent on there. And was able to take advantage of that. So I think it will happen very quickly with Lincoln Riley, potentially even quicker than Brian Kelly at LSU. But man, it's just gonna be fun to compare those guys throughout their careers, because it's been one heck of a week following both of them.
Brian Kelly is the one that people are saying that Brian Kelly is the unusual one in that he's a northern guy and he's going to a place in Louisiana where he's not Ed Orgeron, right?
Yeah.
He's not Ed Orgeron, but neither was Nick Saban. Les Miles was weird, so he probably fits the personality of what you think a LSU coach should be. Lincoln Riley's a Southern dude. He's going to L.A. I mean, he's got the country accent. That's the one that surprised me. And people think he's a great fit, and maybe he is just because he's an offensive genius.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes him a great fit. But he doesn't seem like a great fit, much like Brian Kelly isn't for Louisiana. He's not really an L.A. dude when I think of it. Maybe he is. Maybe I don't know where he's actually from. Do you know where Lincoln Riley is actually from? We should look that up. But he feels like much better of a fit for Oklahoma than he does for USC, just culturally.
Yeah, he's actually born in Lubbock, Texas. Of course, went to play at Texas Tech. So
there you go.
How, by the way, how cool. I'd have to go back and look at those Texas Tech staffs because they had some guys, some up and comers that went on to be head coaches. But you just think about the quarterbacks, there's guys like BJ Simmons that didn't go on, but from that era, that Mike Leach era of quarterbacks, and Lincoln Riley was on there. Sonny Crumby, who just took a job today, is on there. Cliff Kingsbury. I'm probably leaving out some names. It was just fun because every year in the Big 12 in the early 2000s, Texas Tech would have some different quarterback lead the nation in passing, and now all these guys are head coaches.
That is true. That is true. It's interesting. That is the strangest place that you would think. El Paso. Let's just go there.
Well, Lubbock.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
Lubbock, Texas. Let's go there and get our next coach. But yeah, and Cliff Kingsbury is the last one I thought would succeed there. It's Sonny Cumbie getting the Louisiana gig. I mean, that's a nice gig, but he was the interim there briefly. So let's get to break and come back with top of the hour headlines. We're calling it Box Briefs. We haven't produced it fully, but it's going to be a regular feature on the show where we just go to the top of the hour. We come out and Box got some brief headlines that he'd like to share with you. It's going to be a regular thing. We'll do it next on Tom and Bock.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and Bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Experience an increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalize Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalize Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizehealthne.com.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or Comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an Aggie sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
The team that just won't quit
Together, 3, 1, 2, 3.
is about to play for the division lead.
Bridgewater leads the football to the pylon. Patrick is there. Portland makes a leaping catch and into the end zone.
Sunday night, the Broncos battle the Chiefs for first place.
Touchdown, Denver!
On the KOA Broncos Radio Network.
The Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs kick off at 6:20. Pregame starts at 4 p.m. right here on your home for the Denver Broncos in Lincoln, Nebraska, 93.7 the ticket.
Lincoln's mega liquidation store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG scratch and dent appliances 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels and Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe.
At the Nebraska Ag Expo, we're passionate about sharing all the latest and greatest innovations and technologies that agriculture has to offer to help increase profits, lower costs, and improve the way you farm and ranch. Grab your neighbor and come on out to this year's show. Visit with nearly 1,700 ag experts, all under one roof. December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Lancaster Event Center. Register online for free admission at nebraskaagexpo.com. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Tom and Bock, coming at you live from Koppel Chevrolet GMC Studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Tom Stevens.
Hey, what day is it?
To my knowledge, Wednesday.
Well, we're happier than a camel on Wednesday, baby.
Jake Bockoven.
Coach told me when we're in Rome, we do as Romans. And when we're in Italy, we do as Italians. So Italians, they eat pizza after the games.
Tom and Bock starts now.
Number 3 of Tom and Bock. Tom Stevens here, Jake Bockoven there. Hey, congratulations to Cedar Youth Services. Brian nominated them today, a nonprofit. We're going to deliver goodies from Beatrice Bakery. They have all sorts of great cakes, desserts, fruit cake. It's fantastic. It's perfect for the holidays. Go to beatricebakery.com. But anyway, we're dropping by some goodies to Cedar's Youth Services today, Bach.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Thanks to everybody who nominated. And I'm excited to spread some smiles once again.
And if you'd like to get ahead for next week, drop your name in the basket for Tom and Bach. Put your name there, your email. Just go to the top of the ticketfm.com, 93.7 The Ticket. Put your name, your email address, who you'd like to nominate, the nominee's name, and we'll get some good stuff out there. Some great stuff, actually, from Beatrice Bakery. BeatriceBakery.com is where you need to go. All right. This is a new segment. We're going to try it out, Bach. I think it's going to be a permanent gig. We don't have it fully produced, but we're calling it Box Briefs. I like it.
Hey, what do you think? Boxers or briefs? Oh, boxers. Oh, briefs. 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 Look, no, I'm looking at this guy.
So far, it's fully produced 90s commercial of Hanes.
That's right.
With Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's in that commercial, but in this case, Bach is in this one, giving us the top of the hour headlines.
Oh yeah, thanks to Parker Gabriel of course Husker Extra PG on Twitter. He retweeted actually Brody Miller, who covers Notre Dame, and Brody Miller has tweeted out Brian Kelly says he has not still made any decisions on who will stay as far as the coaches are concerned. Of course, everybody's looking at that LSU staff and wanting to think that Mickey Joseph would be the pick at wide receiver for Nebraska as far as their next coach. It kind of feels like it's the closest one there, but there have been reports and there have been some thoughts circulating that maybe Brian Kelly would like to keep him. And if he doesn't, he's still a hot name. That's again what you have to keep going back to is that's it. He's got a connection to Nebraska, but he'd be pretty big on the open market for other teams to look at as well.
That's right. I mean, not that 1 year at his alma mater would be a terrible thing. And maybe it'll lead more to that. I mean, if they're successful, obviously it'll be much more than that. But if you have an opportunity to stay at LSU, who won a national title in 2019, or go to an iffy job like Nebraska, I mean, if you're offered the gig, you stay at LSU if you're Mickey Joseph, right? There's no doubt about it. So we'll see what happens with him. But he seems like the one guy that they really want. And I don't know where Scott Frost is going to go with wide receiver coach. Actually surprises me that they would hire a wide receiver coach. But if it's Mickey, then you understand why.
Also, I didn't see this yet, but actually they've announced some of the other teams on the All Big Ten offense. Cam Jurgens making the third team All Big Ten, so congratulations to him. Honorable mentions this year going to Adrian Martinez and Samari Toure as well.
That's cool. And Austin Allen, as you mentioned earlier, Big Ten tight end of the year. But Cam Taylor-Britt, which team?
Cam Jurgens is the third team.
Cam Jurgens, I'm sorry.
They're doing offense today.
Okay, that's right.
Cam Taylor-Britt and JoJo Doman were second team.
They were second team, okay.
And well, JoJo got one third team, but one second team not.
Okay, there you go. Is that it?
So yeah, some individual awards and some not movement, which is news.
There you go. There's box briefs. It's a.
I did want to go back to this real quick because we talked about Texas Tech in those early 2000s and who all kind of came out of that with, we were talking about Cliff Kingsbury, Lincoln Riley, and Sonny Cumbie. That staff that he put together the first staff that Mike Leach had in the year 2000, the running back coach was Art Briles. The wide receiver coach was Sonny Dykes and Dana Holgerson. They split wide receiver duties, and then they even had like Ruffin McNeil, who ended up at East Carolina, was their linebacker coach. Their defensive coordinator Greg McMacken ended up being a head coach at Hawaii.
Wow.
Seth Luttrell was the North Texas head coach right now. He ended up being on that team. And I figured out this. I didn't know this. Garrett Riley is the SMU offensive coordinator, which they've done really well. He played at Texas Tech, the younger brother of Lincoln Riley. So maybe that would be a name I just heard of him, but I'm interested in it.
What a great staff that Leach put together.
Oh,
back then. I mean, those guys, those are big names, and you can understand they were pretty good back then.
Yeah,
I mean, they were always winning.
They were very innovative.
Yeah, that's the splits. I still never really understood the splits, those wide splits, which he hasn't necessarily taken everywhere he's gone. Ole Miss doesn't do as much as wide as they were at Texas Tech. But it looked like you could just dart right through there. But that's good. It is that time of year when you're looking at a lot of new coaches taking a lot of new gigs in college football. Let's see. Where were we going to go this hour? I was going to do Ask Bock questions, and I do have a bunch of questions that I'd like to ask Bock about college football. You have the music over there, right?
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Really get you in the mood for college football right here.
This is just a segment where we ask Bock a bunch of questions about college football. Former Oklahoma 5-star commit Malachi Nelson. Of course, he was committed to Oklahoma, now committed to USC. It does feel like maybe how many guys from Oklahoma are going to follow him to USC?
I think it'd probably be 10 to 15. A lot of them are, and that's because he's got the name that's not just, coach left, I play for the university. He's the type of guy you commit to for his up and coming strategies and what he's able to do as far as turn out, Heisman quarterbacks, great tight ends. I mean, the offense, he's probably the best young offensive mind in college football. So it makes sense that a lot of these guys want to leave. I saw their tight end, Austin Stogner, is in the transfer portal. They're losing guys on the team and the recruits.
There are a bunch of names being connected to the Notre Dame job. One of them is Matt Campbell at Iowa State. He's not long for Iowa State, right? Matt Campbell can't stay there forever.
I wouldn't think so, but he's been pretty loyal to them so far. They're putting out a big contract. It's always interesting. That Notre Dame job is just one that, especially if you're Catholic, it's just kind of one that you feel like would always be so cool to go and get. So I'd put that out there. It's kind of interesting, though, and somewhat bad news today. The Iowa State athletic director, Jamie Pollard, shared a letter with fans that told him that he's been diagnosed with cancer. So we'll kind of see how that goes about. But that also might make the timing of it kind of strange for Matt Campbell to really want to move.
Jamie Pollard was mentioned in connection with the Nebraska AD job at one time. And had to step up and say, no, I'm not interested in that gig. I love my gig here at Iowa State. Matt Campbell's interesting to me. They're going to have to extend that contract to keep him and make the buyout ridiculously big for him to stay. It's already pretty big.
His 7 and 5 year doesn't do anything. Doesn't lower your Matt Campbell belief.
I just think that he's going to. I also wonder what happens when he finally pulls the trigger and says, you know what? It's been fun here. but I'm going to Alabama. I'm going someplace good. Not that this can't be good. He's always 7-5, 8-4, something like that at Iowa State. But I also think Iowa State, as soon as he leaves, he'll just be back to what Iowa State used to be.
Maybe we'll see. I think it will be hard for them to keep that program stable without him. But that's why. A lot of programs are putting a lot of money in people's pockets to keep them around that you wouldn't think necessarily could compete. That's what it looked like through this early coaching cycle. It's just everybody's, whether it's Franklin or Michigan State or all these different coaches, they're keeping them in, so they're not getting the big job, and then. They was like, all right, well, if they're not going to come from that secondary market, let's just go to the top blue bloods and steal their coaches. So it's kind of interesting how that's all played out. But I don't know if you're thinking about it too right now. If you're Campbell, you don't want your name to lower in those ranks a little bit. Remember, Kirk Ferentz at one time could have taken an NFL job. I mean, your name can go up and down in those type of things, and you might lose Breece Hall, Brock Purdy, a lot of those guys on this team that made it so that they could get 7-5.
They're going to lose those guys. By the way, they're losing those guys.
So maybe it would be a good time to move while your name's still hot.
And I think watch for him for the Notre Dame job. I just think he's the front runner that we don't talk about. Like you hear the name Urban Meyer to Notre Dame. That's not going to happen. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan. No. That's his alma mater. Those are some names that you hear, but we'll see. Jack Plummer is in the transfer portal. We talked about this briefly yesterday. Do you feel like he's a Power 5 quarterback?
I think he is. He certainly didn't have the belief behind him. If he struggled at all, he'd get pulled. But he impressed enough to start over Aiden O'Connell. And Aiden O'Connell is kind of a walk-on story that's kind of nice, but he turned into be quite a pretty good quarterback. Jack Plummer's got a lot of yards, a lot of stats, and that Purdue offense wasn't always the problem there in West Lafayette. So I like him. I wouldn't mind him even in the transfer portal on the way to Nebraska. He wouldn't get you too excited.
No,
but as far as some competition for somebody, he would be a guy that I would say, okay, as our number 1 or 2 quarterback, it'd be solid. Not necessarily. I mean, he didn't win the job at Purdue, but you can't look down at Purdue at Nebraska. Right now, you're looking up at them in the standings.
I just don't want that style of quarterback.
Right, that too. He doesn't move.
He doesn't move very well. Give me your top 4 playoff teams. Is it going to be what it is right now? You've got obviously Alabama number 1. You've got Michigan number 2. You've got Georgia's number 1. Michigan's number 2. Alabama's number 3. Cincinnati number 4.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being Georgia, Michigan, Oklahoma State number 3, and Cincinnati number 4. So you have Michigan and Oklahoma State in one semifinal, and Georgia and Cincinnati in the other one. I just think I'm going chalk this weekend. I don't necessarily see an upset, and I think Oklahoma State will jump Cincinnati with their win. So that's what I'm seeing from here. But if you have any loss, then it gets kind of ugly. Do you put Notre Dame in without their head coach, or do you go to the 2-loss route? Because that's all you got left. There's not this stack of teams 1 loss this year. So if this weekend gets wild, you could have some 2-loss teams in there, and we know who the top of the 2 losses are. That's Alabama, that's Ohio State, and those are the teams that you've been cheering to see just something different. If they get in even with 2 losses, it'll be frustrating.
Please no, I don't want to see that. I'd rather see Notre Dame in than 2-loss Alabama or Ohio State.
But but here's the thing, Tom. Do you think that they're a better team? Everybody's got, because the college football doesn't hold this. Okay, it's going to be the most deserved team, or it's going to be the best team. They just go, we're just going to throw in the best teams, and that's not a word that doesn't really make sense. They just choose it randomly.
I'll just be really angry if there's a 2-loss team, but mostly I'll be really angry if it's a 2-loss Alabama team. Cliff Kingsbury says that he doesn't want to touch the Oklahoma topic right now. I think he's preparing for the Bears. Who do you guys have this weekend?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, does that mean you think he could be a front runner for that job, for the Oklahoma job?
Oh, they do have the Bears. I think that there might be some interest there. It's kind of weird, though, when you've already kind of failed at your alma mater, right? Is there going to be a huge calling? And he's at the prime of his career, college or pro, right now. So it could be, he'd be a hot name if he wants to go back to the college ranks, but he's he's got a team that legitimately could win the Super Bowl this year. So I don't know why he would want to be distracted until at least the season's over. No. And so I don't think he's really in the mix at all.
That's Ask Bock. Those are all the questions I have that are pertinent to college football. I'm sure there'll be more. We'll do our picks of density on Friday. So we're going to do the bowl season. Let's keep this thing rolling, Bob.
Yeah, let's do. Give me a chance at a comeback.
You're going to need it. 48-40 is what I lead by right now. You're 40-48.
Yep.
Just the reverse.
Just the reverse.
You said Nebraska would go 6-6. You were wrong. They won 3 games. I said 7-5. I was really wrong.
Imagine saying on air before Nebraska started their season, yeah, they're going to go 3-9. You would have been bombarded, but you would have been right.
Yeah, we would have been yelled at.
Yeah,
scrmed at.
Told we're negative. We're hurting the program.
That's right. And maybe we would have been, but we also would have been right. I'd rather be right on most of this stuff.
But if you did bet that too, like if you put all your money on 3-9, boy, would you have a stressful season right down to the Iowa game. You might have been right, but you would have been stressed out. I don't even know if it'd be worth it.
Everybody's doing their postseason rankings of the Big Ten. The bottom 5 interests me. Where the worst team in the league is Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Where's Nebraska in the mix?
I think they're probably better than Rutgers.
But Rutgers won 5 games. How can you put Nebraska ahead of Rutgers?
Because Nebraska's the best, worst team of all time.
That's right.
I think that if they played Rutgers, that's one of the few teams, like usually I'll go, I think they're better, but they'd lose. I think they'd beat Rutgers. Maybe it's just because most recently they played them last year and they did. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I can go much beyond that. Northwestern obviously is right there. Maybe even the worst. They could have a fight with Indiana. But I think maybe I might even be biased, like you're saying, and putting Nebraska too high. But I'd probably say they're the 11th best team in the conference.
I go Nebraska, the worst team in the conference. They're better than Northwestern.
Yeah. They proved that.
They beat Northwestern head to head, and I think they're better than Indiana. But I can't go much better than that. So you've got Indiana 14th, then 13th. I think you've got Northwestern, Nebraska 12th. And that's really not positive.
Northwestern, by the way, who you have at the bottom, beat Rutgers. That's why I don't have Rutgers very high.
That's true. But you got to put Nebraska ahead of Northwestern for sure.
Right.
But Rutgers, and that was a game that I wish Nebraska would have played Rutgers this year. They probably would have beat them. They beat them last year. I mean, Nebraska just obviously had a very difficult schedule this year, and they did not perform well. And on top of that,
how crazy is it that Penn State ended up with the same conference record as Illinois? Penn State was in the top 10 for a majority of the season. Illinois beat them, and they finished with the same 4-5 record in the league.
Yeah. And out of that, James Franklin got a 10-year extension.
That's right.
It was
lost his defensive coordinator.
You could argue they did have a bad COVID year. They had a terrible COVID year. Nebraska beat Penn State last year, and this year, they finished 7-5.
Yep.
So, but James Franklin, I mean, I guess that's a smart move on the part of Penn State, locking him up long term, because at one time they were worried about losing him to either Oklahoma or USC. PJ Fleck was wrapped up pretty early, and then they lose the game to Bowling Green, but they overall had a really good year. The Big Ten just kind of locks up its guys. If they believe in their guy, and you're 7-5. It doesn't matter. You get the extension.
Well, and it's the long term that James Franklin's done there. Of course, they had some injuries this year, mainly just the Sean Clifford injury that probably cost them a few games. So you know what you have there at Penn State, and they won the Big Ten title in 2016, which had been a long time before since they'd done that. So maybe paying a little bit for the past, but they also are frustrated with a lot of the fans don't like his end game coaching. So I'm sure they will be frustrated as well.
Balloons were a topic last night with Trev Alberts on his show. Do you remember this song?
Would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon?
No, in my beautiful balloon.
It made me think of it because there's a big balloon controversy with Nebraska. To balloon or not to balloon. Of course, after every the first touchdown, it's a tradition. It's happened for a million years.
Yeah.
That you release the balloon, and the balloon flies to some other state, and then birds eat it, and that's not good.
Right.
So there's a number of students at the University of Nebraska who want to get rid of that tradition. And there's older people, I think maybe even older than me in some cases, because I don't really care, that, like to see that tradition continue. Trev Albert spoke last night on his radio program. He says he understands both sides of the balloon issue, the environmental part, but he also likes the tradition. He basically said at the end of the conversation, it's not at the top of the list as far as things to do for Trev Alberts.
He doesn't care about littering or the world around him.
What if
it's not the top of his list?
I would hate to see. You could turn the balloon music off. I was just it's
like
actually driving me nuts.
You don't?
I thought I did, but then now I'm listening to it, and now I want to. I just want the music to stop. But it's been such a big deal. When I was a kid, I loved it, and I look forward to the first touchdown being scored and the balloon release happening, and you could see kids hanging on for dear life onto the little string, waiting for the time to let the balloon go. And sometimes it would happen early, and they were like,
yeah.
Then you have to go buy the damn kid another balloon. And hopefully you made it before Nebraska scored a touchdown.
I like those halves where Nebraska doesn't score.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like them, obviously. But then, all the balloon, everybody's just holding their balloon at halftime, disappointed and sad.
That's right. That is sad.
Yeah.
That is sad. I remember the 2009 Oklahoma game. I was with my cousin, and the kid had a balloon. And we could not see the game because the kid had the balloon. And finally, my cousin just yelled at a 5-year-old kid, "You got to get rid of that damn balloon. Either lower the balloon." It's like, he was like, he's freaking out. And he's usually a pretty calm guy, but he's very serious about his Husker football. Would you be upset, Husker Nation, 464-5685, if they got rid of the balloons? Would it be something that you'd like, man, they can't get rid of the balloons? I understand that maybe birds eat them and ultimately have to pass away, but that's the price that you pay. Or maybe they could invent
a touchdown.
That's right. Maybe they could invent a balloon where you release it and it just explodes. They all explode at the same time above Memorial Stadium, and then the balloons just land on the field or something like that.
Balloons with timers on them. I like it.
Yeah, you could put bombs in each and every one of the balloons.
Yeah. I feel torn between this because it's a tradition that I liked. I grew up with. I maybe thought before I really became too environmentally thoughtful, wanted to show my son or whatever. But it does strike me as odd to watch that much like litter. It's just like when I let it go. So like, here's litter, and I typically don't litter at all. So it's just kind of weird to do it in that case. I also am a little bit torn because one of my favorite moments was just from a few years ago was Scott Frost's first touchdown, Adrian Martinez scoring against Colorado. I was on the sideline. I was working in TV, and I had a balloon because they were going to need one. And so I was like 10 feet away from Bill Moose and Tom Osborne on Scott Frost's first touchdown, and I had a balloon in my hand. I think I cursed the whole thing. I think somehow that did not help fix anything.
I guess it depends on your age. If you didn't grow up with the tradition, why would you care?
Right.
But if you'd like to chime in, 464-5685, Honda of Lincoln hotline, Sutter Heyman text line. We'll take maybe a call on the other side if we have one, if you'd like to call in regarding the balloons. Do you think it's a great tradition, or you think it's something like it's time for it to end? It's not good for the environment anyway. Let's just get rid of it. How do you feel? We'll talk about it on the other side with Tom and Bock.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. This is Tom and Bock.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill has food and drink specials every night for all the games. Enjoy jumbo pork tenderloin for $8.99 and 90-cent wings for Monday Night Football, or Comfort Thursday Night Football with chicken fried chicken, steak, or pork for just $9.99 and $20 Coors Light aluminum buckets. Watch college football on Saturdays with an eggy sandwich for $9.99 and Coors Light specials, and catch NFL Sundays with Bloody Marys and more. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
At Southeast Community College, we know that winter isn't even here yet, but spring is already on our minds. Registration for the spring 2022 semester is open now. Whether you want to get a head start on a 4-year degree, learn a new trade with a certificate program, or add to your job skills, SCC has a class for you. Spring semester starts January 10th. Learn more about our more than 60 programs of study online at southeast.edu. SCC, your path to possible.
At the Nebraska Ag Expo, we're passionate about sharing all the latest and greatest innovations and technologies that agriculture has to offer to help increase profits, lower costs, and improve the way you farm and ranch. Grab your neighbor and come on out to this year's show. Visit with nearly 1,700 ag experts all under one roof, December 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Lancaster Event Center. Register online for free admission at nebraskaagexpo.com. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Parents, if you've been waiting for FDA approval to get your teen vaccinated, the time is now. The FDA has approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for use in preventing COVID-19. While this is the first vaccine to gain FDA approval, all COVID-19 vaccines have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus. Want to reduce your teen's risk of hospitalization while protecting yourself and your community? Get your teen vaccinated today. Visit vaccinate.ne.gov to get started.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com. Proud sponsors of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
Lincoln's Mega Liquidation Store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG Scratch and Dent appliances 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final half hour of Tom and Bock. I'm Tom Stevens. He's Jake Bockhoven. Talking about balloons. It seems like there's a split. Some of them like the tradition. Others think, I can live without it. I wonder, let's introduce David Eichholt, who is with 24/7 Sports, covers Iowa football, but he was a student at the University of Nebraska. Yeah. What do you think of the balloon tradition? Controversial? Should get rid of that tradition, or do you like to keep it?
Hey, guys, good to be talking to you again. I do like it. I think it's a cool, unique thing that does help set Nebraska apart. Like you said, I know it's a little bit controversial, but I don't know. I'm always big on symbolism in college athletics, and I think Nebraska's carved out a nice niche with it. And again, I think it's a cool thing. I think it should stick around.
There you go.
Yeah, like as we said, David Eichholt on the horn with us. He is a former intern here, so it's kind of cool to see him go off and do great things with 24/7 Sports in Iowa. It's kind of always awkward. We knew you were an Iowa fan, but you went to Nebraska here. Now you get to work for Iowa. That's very cool. And obviously, they just had the game this last week, and we'll get into that for a second. But again, you're a student here, so you keep close tabs on what Nebraska does. What is your just kind of overall feeling on the Scott Frost experiment, extending it a year further for the Huskers?
Yeah, I think this Nebraska team in general is a complete case study, right? Because they're just so close. And I think once you got down to the final half of the season or so, I think it was more of a mental block than anything else for the team. I think they have a lot of talent. But, I know some people on the outside made fun of Nebraska for extending Frost another year. I actually thought it was a very smart move by Trev Alberts. I think it makes a lot of sense. look at the way the coaching the carousel is going right now. There's a lot of big time jobs open, and the market for great coaches leaving, it's not big unless you want to pay $95 million for a coach who entered the season 7-12, like Mel Tucker in his FBS career. And then obviously look at what Brian Kelly's done. But, Trev Alberts, I like what he did. He reduced the buyout in half. They cut the salary a little bit as well. I think it's a good move for at least one more year because, do you really want to keep restarting? I think the loyalties get payoff, in the long run. And I do think it was a smart thing for them to do.
Talking with David Eicholt, who covers Iowa football for 24/7 Sports. You were here at the university watching it close as a student, and now you're covering Iowa football. You've seen the differences and Nebraska trying to break through in the Big Ten under Scott Frost. Why have they not been able to, in your mind?
I think a couple of things. One, I think, the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten West, you look at just strong play in the trenches, both line of scrimmages, offensive line. I mean, Iowa traditionally has not been, great at skill position development, but they've always been tough up front, and that's why they've been so tough to beat. On top of that, too, it's interesting. I wrote in my post-game column, especially this true for this year's Nebraska team, special teams. I mean, Iowa has flat out won games on special teams this year, and we've seen top teams go down because of special team blunders. And I know, I've watched every Nebraska football game this year. I mean, how many different special teams blunders have we seen? So I think Nebraska can stick with what they're doing offensively to some extent. I think that they can continue to get talent. But I think the smartest thing they should do is to invest in a special teams coordinator, a really legit one. I think that would go a really long way for them. And then obviously just, find the right fit. I think it was a very smart move by Scott Frost to fire the offensive assistants. I know it's kind of a gamble for a one-year experiment for the new assistants to come in. But I'll tell you what, if it pays off and Nebraska does have a great year next year, I mean, you talk about the program going back up into what it wants to become, and you talk about coach's profile taking that next step as well. So I do think it's kind of a interesting mix up there. But I think strong play in the trenches, not turning the ball over, and special teams. I think that goes a long, long way, especially in the Big Ten.
How was the viewing from the Iowa side as that Black Friday game kind of unfolded? It was kind of interesting and somewhat predictable from the Nebraska side, but from the Iowa side, Kirk Ferentz is just absolutely has owned Scott Frost and PJ Fleck and Matt Campbell, and so getting into that game, Tom and I like to go back to the fact that Kirk Ferentz hit a field goal late, just before the start of the fourth quarter to cut the two possession game down to a 2-possession game. He just had the patience to know that Nebraska was going to blow up. Was there some pretty nervous Iowa fans, or was there kind of the idea that Kirk's got this in control?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think back to what Iowa's been all year. I mean, obviously they started out 6-0. They went to number 2 in the country, which I think everybody in the world knew they weren't the number 2 team in the country, but you really couldn't argue against them at that point. Then they went on the 2-game losing skid, but over their final 4 games that they won, I mean, Iowa's just played teams closer or having to come back from. I mean, you think about the week before against Illinois, they were down 10-0 in the first quarter. Then Charlie Jones houses a 100-yard kickoff return touchdown. And I think people knew kind of right then that, Iowa was going to find a way to come back in this game. They nearly blew the lead against Minnesota. Minnesota got the ball back and nearly drove down the length of the field until Iowa stopped them late. But the story with this Iowa team, again, I talked about Nebraska being a case study. I think this Iowa team is also a case study because I go back to what my dad always said growing up is, especially true with this year's teams, winners know how to win and losers just find different ways to lose.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I've said this too, if you put Iowa's special teams on Nebraska's team this year, I would bet Nebraska goes at least 8-4. Like that's how big of a deal I think special teams has been to Iowa and to Nebraska. And if you take Nebraska special teams and put on Iowa, who knows? Maybe they're 5-7, maybe they're 4-8. I mean, that's really how big of a difference is. I could write a whole case about why Torrey Taylor, Iowa's punter, was the team's MVP this year.
David Eicholt covers Iowa football for 24/7 Sports. But that being said, you wonder how much Iowa could do with an offense. And I know Brian Ferentz has taken a lot of heat this year. I think there was even a petition to try to get rid of him. That's never going to happen. Why wouldn't they try to improve offensively? It seems almost like they're happy being bad on offense.
It's again, it's just such an interesting case study to me. And I've always said, watching Iowa growing up as well as Nebraska, Iowa's, I've always thought that their skill development as far as, wide receivers or running backs have really held the team back from taking that next step. I think it's been the opposite this year. I think it's been play calling, and I think it's been the offensive line. I mean, Iowa's offensive line gave up the second most sacks this regular season in the Kirk Ferentz era. They were second to last in the Big Ten in that. Outside Tyler Linderbaum, everything else was pretty inconsistent across the board. Iowa's done some different things. They're trying some sweeps. They're going back to the inside zone instead of outside zone. I think that's been a very, very big deal to this team as well. But, we've pressed Kirk on this countless times throughout the season. He just said, look, we're going to reevaluate everything at the end of the season because they don't want to try to overhaul everything in the middle of the season. And while I understand that, I think people are just wanting to say, just wanting to see some new wrinkles to it. And again, if you go to a Big Ten championship and you think you're going to beat Michigan, especially with Aiden Hutchinson, who if I had a Heisman vote, I would vote for him to be the Heisman this year in a down year in quarterbacks. You aren't going to beat them by beating them, outside zone. You got to take some shots downfield. You need some explosive plays, and they got to make some different things happen. I think Iowa's inability to recruit a mobile quarterback, I think it's ultimately going to hurt them, and I think it ultimately is going to hurt them in the Big Ten championship come Saturday.
What is kind of the feel of the fan base around this team? Like you said, there's some obvious flaws there. Does it compare to the 2015 team? Obviously, you can't really replicate going undefeated or some of those early 2000 teams that Kirk Ferentz had, or is it just kind of a team that just grinds out and finds a way to win, but maybe Iowa fans acknowledges doesn't have maybe the talent of past teams?
Even in going back to that 2015 team, I would argue that this Iowa team is more talented than that team. I mean, Kirk and a lot of the players on the 2015 team who I've talked to on the side have flat out said, we weren't really the best team. I mean, but the reality was the camaraderie, the chemistry, and the genuine love, just, playing alongside one another is really what drove them to Indy that year. And I think Iowa right now, they're just loving this underdog role. I mean, you talk across the board. I know Spencer Petras, we talked with yesterday, who will be Iowa's starting quarterback come Saturday. He just said, look, we've been an underdog in every single bowl game since I've been here and almost every big game. He referred back to the 2018 Outback Bowl when Iowa was a underdog to Mississippi State, who had 3 first-round draft picks on defense. Iowa found a way to win that game. USC, everybody picked USC in 2019 to beat them. And then Iowa, obviously torched them. And he just said, look, we've been here before. And I think you go back to that even 2016 game against Michigan. Iowa was a 21.5-point underdog in that game. And they found a way to win. And, it's interesting with Iowa. It feels like they're more underdogs when they're actually favorites, but they actually play better when they're discounted. And I'm not saying that Iowa's going to win on Saturday, but it is kind of funny to me. And I think a lot of people who cover the team around the area in the Big Ten world that, hey, everybody's already talking about Michigan playing Georgia. And nobody's talking about what if Iowa actually pushes Michigan. So it definitely leaks into the locker room, and I got no doubt that Iowa's going to at least come out on Saturday and really try to dirty up the game and make it ugly. And if that happens, we'll see. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen.
But we're talking with David Holt of 24/7 Sports Iowa Football. It does feel like this is a decent matchup for Iowa. For example, compared to Ohio State with lots of speed and, big time wide receivers everywhere you look, Iowa's pretty good at stopping the run. And that's what Michigan likes to do.
Yeah, Hassan Haskins, absolute stud. I mean, the 5 touchdowns last week and what Michigan did last week. I mean, talk about a perfect game plan executed. The thing that, I think worries me about Iowa going into this matchup is, I mean, obviously when everybody talks about Iowa, they talk about the ridiculous interception numbers. I mean, they have 11 different players that have at least 1 interception. They have 22 of them on the year, which leads the nation. Iowa has 88 of them since the start of the 2017 season, also leads the nation. But you look at this Michigan team, they don't shoot themselves in the foot, and Iowa has been very good at capitalizing on opponents' ability to self-destruct. You look at Cade McNamara, he only has 3 interceptions on the year. I think J.J. McCarthy has done some really, really good things as well this season. And Iowa typically sits back in their same cover, too. They sit back in their same zone coverage and just wait and then pounce on the opportunity. And I don't know how many times Michigan's going to allow themselves to be put in that sort of position. I think Iowa's best shot is Michigan going to be super emotionally hungover going into this game after beating Ohio State? I think that's something that not a lot of people are talking about, and I think it should be it should be talked about more. And keep in mind too, in the Kirk Ferentz era, he is 7-6 against the Wolverines, and Jim Harbaugh has only beaten Iowa once as a player or coach. So Iowa knows how to play Michigan. Phil Parker, Iowa's defensive coordinator, is a Michigan State alum, so he's got some disdain for the Wolverines. And I do think that those type of things do have an impact games, especially going.
30 seconds, David. Give me your pick here in this game.
I am picking Michigan. I think Iowa makes it ugly. I don't see Michigan really putting up a ton of points, but I'm going to go Michigan 24, and I'm going to go Iowa 20. I think Iowa, not has a pick six, but they put themselves in a good position, and they'll capitalize on the momentum.
Yep, that sounds like an Iowa-type score, and I expect something like that. But I think Iowa could win this game. Good stuff, David. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
David Eichholt used to work here at the Ticket.
Yeah.
Now covers Iowa football for 24/7 Sports. So there you go. But he's an Iowa. He grew up an Iowa fan, right?
Yeah, he did. And went to Nebraska. That was probably
he was very confused.
I had a classmate that was a very big Michigan fan at Nebraska. It's always kind of weird, just kind of like it's hard to because with him, like both of them, it's not the like kind of I kind of like that other team. It's like that's who they are. That's kind of who they brand themselves off of. So it's kind of cool to see them, especially David go out there and be able to work for his dream school.
I'm happy for it. 464-5685 Starter Hammond text line. We're asking about balloons and whether or not Nebraska should get rid of them. I say we have a really obnoxious set of red fireworks combo in the first TD after every game. Would that make up for it? Like everyone, that would be, you'd be happy with fireworks instead of balloons.
I think that no matter what, if you do get rid of the tradition, you do have to come up with something else, and that's a good idea.
You got to replace it.
Yeah.
By the way, I love Nate Rohr. What do you think of the third down thing?
The only problem I have with it is that he ends it with 3rd down and 4 or something. That kind of takes away from the whole third. I would just go with 3rd down.
I don't like it because every time he says it, we give up a 3rd down.
Not necessarily. I like it because it gets the crowd going. It's that that defense kind of needs it. It's just a cool moment, but it's not like Nebraska's created that. You hear that across stadiums across the nation. I just think they should cut out the and 4 or the and 7 or the and 1. It just sounds, and I know it's informative, but it kind of takes away from the whole point in my mind.
Text line says fireworks are air pollution, so you can't do that. You either kill the birds or you kill the air. So those are out. Somebody else asked, what if you replace the balloons with the Chinese lanterns? Those things that you set on fire?
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, those are great. Barry Swanson used to set his on fire at his tailgate, and it would fly over Memorial Stadium, and you were worried that it would set the stadium on fire.
He never got in trouble for that?
No, they made him stop.
Yeah, I bet they did.
I don't think he ever got in trouble, but it scares you.
Those were popular a few years back, especially for even Independence Day. But I think there was like a national problem of those things landing on roofs and starting fires.
Eric in Lincoln says the AC/DC between the 3rd and 4th quarter needs to stay. I like that. I like with the night games. They do that with night games.
The night games.
The AC/DC with the night games, and that is cool.
Yeah,
it's got to be a night game for that to work, right? It has.
Yeah, it would be great. You can't have a light show in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I don't think you can unless we go to a dome and just turn off the lights. Maybe you could do that.
We've got to figure out something to do for the daytime.
We'll get on that during the off season. We'll have some time. So there you go. We appreciate David Eichholt of 24/7 Sports talking Iowa football. I feel like I know more about the team. Let's get to break and come back with the pregame. Nick will be here, Rico Alvarez-Clary, and we'll talk with them. It'll be great. We'll do it next.
You're listening to Tom and Bock. Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
Lincoln's Mega Liquidation Store is here. Wholesale Logistics is now open on West O Street as a bin store with tons of liquidation pallets, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. Brand new mattresses, 30 to 60% off retail with well-known brands. New furniture, also 30 to 60% off retail value. Brand new LG Scratch and Dent appliances, 35 to 40% off retail. Wholesale Logistics purchases truckloads of smaller items from major retailers and throws them into bins, with everything starting at just $8. Get to Wholesale Logistics, open each Friday to Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2811 West O Street.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez-Clay.
You could celebrate a Nebraska football win with chips or wings and your favorite beverage, but Beatrice Bakery has all sorts of cakes to celebrate all victories this fall. Coffee cake, breakfast bread, artisan cakes, and especially Grandma's fruit cake. No one remembers who brought the chips, but everyone remembers who brought the cake. Make your parties memorable and your Mondays at the office better with cakes from Beatrice Bakery. They ship nationwide. Check out BeatriceBakery.com, proud sponsor of the Nebraska Shrine Bowl. Welcome to our world of yum.
The weather has changed, and now it's time to adjust your footwear to change along with it. Stop into Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q to get ready for cooler temperatures and fashion trends. They're stocked with Hey Dudes, Brooks, New Balance, Danner boots, Keen or Merrill hiking boots, and plenty of other options. Plus, they have Nordic beach jackets and Bindle tumblers to take to the gym with your new athletic shoes. So get to Brown's Shoe Fit today at 66th and Q.
Go ahead, let it sleet, let it slush, and let it snow, because the pros at T.O. Haas Tire are ready to help you with a new set of tires guaranteed to get you through it all, like the complete line of Michelin tires, including the X-Ice Snow Tire. And right now, you can get $70 back when you buy any 4 new Michelin tires at the T.O. Haas Tire near you.
T.O. Haas, Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to Tom and Bock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Kind of excited about tonight's game, Nebraska, North Carolina State. Thomas Allen plays for North Carolina State, plays about 10, 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing the last
Hasn't been playing much as of late, but excited to see what Nebraska could do in their first road game. Tonight, 6:30. I think it's an ESPNU game.
North Carolina State, by the way, they're having a good day basketball-wise. They just landed 5-star point guard Robert Dillingham in the 2023 class.
Wow.
He's the number 8 recruit in that class, so maybe a little bit more momentum for the Wolfpack going into this game than Nebraska.
What if they told him that it was North Carolina, not North Carolina State? They just lied to him about the school that he was signing with.
I mean,
that's impressive.
They told him the state it was in.
That's right. That's right.
They were like, yeah, we're in North Carolina. And he was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. So good for North Carolina State. I think they're going down tonight, though.
Do you remember a few years ago when Tom Gugliotta got kicked out of their game?
That's right. What did he do?
I don't remember, but I just remembered that now. That's about the only North Carolina State memory I have, other than Julius Hodge getting punched by Chris Paul in the man parts.
That's the man parts.
Those are my North Carolina State memories.
Wow.
Yes,
go Wolfpack.
Oh, the memories. They'll be, I mean, Jim Valvano, I remember that. I wish you guys had lived through that. That was so magical. Barely made the NCAA. They had to win the ACC tournament to get to the big dance and just caught fire. I mean, I don't know if you'll ever see anything quite like that ever again.
Did you have them in your bracket back then in 1983?
Yeah. Were you making brackets?
Did you guys do brackets back then?
What?
Did you guys fill out
We
brackets?
had brackets, Sonny. I'll tell you about my brackets. You don't know anything about it. I was filling them out in cursive back in the day.
From the newspaper. I like to do mine from the newspaper. I'll buy
You still will?
Yeah, I buy 2 of them and me and my wife fill them out, and those are our official ones. We hang them up on the wall and we see who wins. And unfortunately, I'll say this on the air because she'll make it public. The last 3 years, the last 3 tournaments, she's beaten me.
Yeah, that was always the way when I was, at some radio station. Everybody would fill them out, and it'd always be somebody that had no interest in basketball that would win. One year was a lady that just liked the name Gonzaga.
I was going to say Rico's definitely the dude that just picks the mascot.
No, I like to think that I know what I'm doing, but apparently I don't. The year that Villanova won the national championship, we were in college, and me, my roommate, and her all filled out brackets, and she picked Villanova, and me and him look at her, and we're just like, "That you're stupid. They're not going to win the national championship." And then, that happened.
Here's what you do: bracket tip. I know it's only December. We'll wait till March, but bracket tip: don't second guess yours. Go with the 1 seeds. Go with the 1 and 2 seeds. It almost always works. Don't try to pick too many upsets in the first and second round.
Speaking of upsets, did you guys watch the Ohio State Duke game last night?
It was great.
I watched part of the first half and like the start of the second half, and then I was like, "Yeah, Duke's gonna win this."
I thought so too.
I was like, Duke's
13 and a half.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this.
That's a great game.
They played bad in the second half.
But you know what? That Ohio State team's got grit.
They have that shooter. They had that transfer number 2. I can't remember the name. He's a shooter, 3 for 3 from deep. I mean, he had that big 3 to take.
Key had 20 points. They're big inside. I think that they're 4-2 teams, so they're not a great basketball team. But there's a lot of teams that have already lost. If you're depressed because Nebraska's lost 2, there's a lot of teams throughout the country that have lost 2 or 3 games already.
You look at Ohio State; they're 5-2 now, and they have 2 of their wins come against obviously Duke, number 1 last night, and the number 21 Seton Hall earlier this year in some tournament that they were in. So not a bad start. EJ Liddell,
he's good.
I'm watching. I don't know about you guys, but I'm watching the Big Ten Conference right now, and the height that other teams have.
Don't talk about the height. I don't want to.
He's 7'4". No, that's Zach Edey.
Who Purdue is now going to be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah,
I do not look good last night.
I'm not looking forward to that game.
Yeah,
like Trace Jackson Davis. I was watching Indiana Syracuse as well. Trace Jackson Davis was an animal.
112 to 110 the final in that game.
Double overtime, which Indiana should have won that. I don't know what Syracuse is doing on offense. They just send it to Buddy Boeheim, I guess, and
the
he's
brothers
like, hey,
Boeheim.
shoot it wherever you want to.
Do you want to know what Syracuse's offense is? Keep passing the ball until Buddy's open. And even then, it's just
Jimmy.
Just give Buddy the ball and let him work.
But Buddy is never. Oh, okay. Well, not never. He is
very rarely.
Last
open.
night he was not open, and he still chucked up a 3 from no man's land, and it was not close. It was brick central in the first overtime.
He is Buddy
Boeheim.
He is a good shooter, but he's a shooter that it doesn't matter how many times he misses. He's going to keep shooting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a fun team to watch. I like watching the zone defense.
Really?
That Syracuse plays.
That's what I said. And Happer and Schaefer were like, no,
I enjoy the zone.
It's different. It's cool.
There's something cool about it. I mean, it's all they ever play, and you get really good at it. Nobody wants to face them in the NCAA tournament. I was talking about this to Bock. Buddy and Jimmy must have been born when Boeheim was like in his mid-50s.
Yeah, and he was the coach at Syracuse because he's been the coach at Syracuse forever.
I mean, how many times do you know people that have kids in their mid-50s? I mean, that's
very rare.
Yeah, he's 77 years old.
Was he? He must have been pretty athletic in his day. Was he?
Yeah, he was a good college player. He played Syracuse.
So. I don't know if it was
he played somewhere in New York.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I'm not even going to pretend to know.
He was a good college player. Was Jimmy Boeheim?
Why didn't you wear your Syracuse jersey today? Don't you have
I don't have a Syracuse jersey, but I got my Syracuse shirt on. It's just underneath my hoodie. It's cold in here, so I keep the hoodie on. Yeah. Maybe I'll put it over the.
Oh, he did play at Syracuse.
He did play at Syracuse.
Yeah. When is he going to be done?
I don't know, dude.
Are we ready for the end of Jim Boeheim to be the end of him coaching?
Coach K is like what, 3 years old?
Look, honestly, I thought Jim Boeheim was going to retire before Coach K. So Coach K is stepping down this year, and Jim Boeheim's just like, nope, still coaching. I'm like, first off, like a small part of me wants him to retire so they stop playing the zone because they have so many athletes that if they didn't play a zone, I think they'd be so much better.
Bock mentioned this earlier. That Jim Boeheim is 77, but he looked 77 when he was 47. I mean, he's not really aged
he's always
at all. He's just always been the same.
He started coaching at Syracuse in 1976.
Gosh.
Yeah, and played there.
When did Coach K start at Duke? Because they started
the early 80s, I think.
They've both been the coaches at their respective schools forever. Like you've got the young versions of them in black and white coaching at their schools in the old Big East days.
Yeah, he started at Duke in 1980, but he started at Army in 1975.
Yeah.
So
how do we feel about Nebraska, NC State tonight? What are we feeling like?
I don't know what to expect with this team because they've been inconsistent. And they've been a really inconsistent 3-point shooting team, which is something I thought they would get. And yet pretty good from the field. They're a decent 2-point shooting team, have been a bad 3-point shooting team up until the last game against South Dakota. If you get that version of Nebraska, I think they can win. For this team, I think a lot of it is defending the three and making threes. If they can defend the three at a decent level and make threes at, say, a 40% clip, I think they're going to win games because I'm pretty confident that they're going to make free throws.
The 3-point line is something that they can live by and die by. And I'm not saying missing shots, which obviously is something that they do a lot, but just they're going to take a lot of threes and they're going to probably give up a lot of threes. And is it weird for me to think that maybe a change of scenery helps them?
Maybe
it's going to be different and it's going to be harder to shoot because you're in a different arena you're not used to. But I think, just changing the scenery and getting out of Lincoln might help them a little bit get out of a slump.
how much conference pride is on the line? Do you think that factors into
Nobody cares about the conference pride. Yeah.
Not in these mid-level games.
Don't you want to win the ACC?
I don't care. They lost the
You don't tally it up.
They
in
lost
the
the Big East Big Ten Challenge. I don't care about the ACC
The
Challenge.
Big Ten's up big in the Big Ten ACC Challenge.
4-2, I think.
If
4-2.
If they lose it,
look, Ohio State beat Duke. The Big Ten wins.
That's right.
That's true.
North Carolina and Michigan tonight. That'll be interesting as well. I feel good about Nebraska's chances. I don't know why. The happy hour is coming up. That's it for the pregame. Nick and Rico will still be here after the break, about 4 minutes away. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
This is your High School Minute.